Nyabingi, it's always been Haile Selassie, but in different forms.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jesus would have been a reincarnated version,
Right.
or however you want to say that.
The one thing that Nyabingi rejects is that Jesus was ever a white man. He was never white.
Of course not.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's pretty obvious.
However, if he was,
Right.
we could probably point to that as reasons for persecution more than the things he's saying.
Sure.
Sir, you look a bit out of place.
Well, and I think about it too, like, but even before I was Rasta, I had these ideas that were taught to me that didn't make sense. One of them being that Jesus was white. Now, I grew up in a Lutheran church.
Thing,
it was
right?
so weird.
But, and look, I grew up Methodist in the South, and we got plenty of white Jesus.
Right.
But I don't remember it, like, being discussed that Jesus was white Anglo-Saxon.
Right.
It just was depicted that way.
On the walls and
But it's not
everywhere
like there's
else,
photos
right?
of Jesus, so there's a guy that created it.
Of
So
course.
it's not like I can blame
Right.
the church at that point.
Right. But that was always my thought as well. How did he know? How did you know? And so I always had that idea, like, there's no way that he was white. Like,
No, I have
once
a pretty
started
good
to
idea
get
of what he looked like.
Yeah, exactly. And then once I got older, I realized, like, okay, well, I've been told that we come from Africa, because that was once just the one continent we're all from. And if we come from Africa, why is this man so light skinned? If Africa is always in the sun and hot as shit all the time, you know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. He would be dark skinned. He would be brown.
Yeah, a bit.
And so
For sure.
So that was always something that, like, I didn't agree with. The other thing was the fact that I shouldn't say always. In 2007, I really started to come around to the idea of the fact that we all come from Africa. And I started doing my research. And so I started having that belief even before I came into Rasta. And then when I found Rasta, and that was one of the core ideas and principles, it's like, oh yeah, of course this makes sense.
So we're all African
We're
descent.
all
anyway.
of African descent, 100%. I mean, not 100%, but you know what I mean? We're all
Well,
African
I mean, I think
descent
that's
to
the
some
idea
extent.
of Mesopotamia, birthplace of life, all those type of things. Everything stemmed out of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Stoned Ape Theory?
Yes. I know it, but I want you to tell me just to refresh my memory.
Before I ruin it.
Is this something you want me to fact check for you?
You could fact check it as we're discussing it, but it's essentially as we bipedal apes are migrating out of Africa.
Yeah.
We are following herds of animals, whether that would be bison or cattle or water buffalo or whatever it would be.
Right.
And as we are searching for food across the plains and following these animals, well, mushrooms grow in their shit.
Yes.
So these would be a thing that would be eaten at some point.
Yes.
Just that's what things do that are starving. And so there is a period of time where the brain size doubled in us, in Homo sapiens.
Yes.
And we don't really have an account for why.
Yeah.
It doubled in a relatively short evolutionary time span of a couple million years, whereas this should have taken eons.
Yeah.
We don't have an answer of why. So this being one of those, that this is what helped kind of grow brain function X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
I like it for obvious reasons. And then as I think about it more and like kind of like put it together in my head, right? So if everyone's going and following and doing their thing and this spreads around the world, I understand most religions, you can find psychedelic undertone in most of the stories.
For sure.
So, you know, Moses and the burning bush, any of these type of things can be related back to psychedelics.
Yeah.
If you feel inclined, right?
Sure.
Like, I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. And I'm not trying to state this as fact. I like theory.
Yeah. That's why ganja is so present in Rastafari too, is because in the King James Version Bible, they talk about it being on the bedside of King David. So
sweet.
Yeah. So that's why it's always kind of been in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one of those weird things that we've decided. Not that one.
Yeah. Right. Right. It's like all of these things were created for us, and then all of a sudden they're taken away from us. Like, wait, what?
Why did we discuss this?
These are gifts.
Dude, and the reason it was taken away is brutal. Like just the whole William Randolph Hearst story with the paper mills and everything.
I don't know that story.
So that's how cannabis became illegal. But
okay.
back to the Stoned Ape Theory. And I guess we'll get into actually talking to you at some point. But so as they continue to migrate, and like for me, thinking about that, right? And especially if I look at like Indian-based religions, Hindu, and any of these, and what the gods are.
Yeah.
This works for me with my experience of psychedelics. The color palette, all of it. Anamorphic, all these type of things are a bit trippy.
Yes.
And so also maybe that's perhaps why cows are sacred.
Sure. Absolutely.
A thing grows in their shit that lets you talk to God.
Exactly. So why wouldn't you hold that sacred?
And so I understand as religion becomes more prevalent and leaders become prevalent, I understand why we would get rid of psychedelic use.
Sure.
Because if people can talk directly to the source, they don't need you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
And people are easier to control when they're not on it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's easier to be fear-based. It's easier to rule the way things
follow
are.
the herd.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to sell me on that it'll ruin. It's the fruit of knowledge, right? Like it's the same deal there of God saying, don't touch that thing. It'll ruin everything.
Right. You'll go blind.
Right. Meanwhile, educating women's the thing the serpent fucked up.
Right.
That's interesting too, because also the serpent is a big correlation as far as imagery depicted with ayahuasca and the tree of knowledge being as it is, right? So is the serpent not the devil? Is the serpent ayahuasca? Is the serpent Mother Aya or some other spirit? And then, also even further into that, right? Like Old Testament God's a son of a bitch anyway. But Lucifer stands for light bringer.
Yep.
Doesn't exactly seem negative to me.
Fallen angel, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
well, that had questions.
Yeah.
It just didn't follow suit.
Right. And look what happened to him. Or supposedly what happened to him. Yeah.
Because he didn't follow suit.
Yeah.
The free will thing's one of those I'm not sure God's that into.
Yeah. Yeah, for
sure. So who gave us the free will then? If that's the big gift, was it the serpent that gave us the free will to make that first decision to go with something that was told we shouldn't do? Because otherwise you're just operating on things you've been allowed to do. That's not really free will. That's definitely constrained within a box.
I'd like to think it was the serpent who was the unbiased one in the
I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, and of all religions and different beliefs, Jesus is pretty interesting because he's a relatively unflawed character. As far as Buddha or any other deity characters within religious, they fuck up. There's good and bad. They have both in them.
Yeah.
Jesus doesn't ever get really shitty.
Yeah. He's always like stable,
always pretty
steady.
Rad.
Yeah.
So
no matter what happens to him.
My thing with that has always been, they talk about, it's always the scene where he's in the temple and they're like selling shit and then he gets super mad and like flips all the tables and stuff like that.
Right.
But that part has always bothered me as they're like, well, he did it for a righteous reason, so it's okay that he got angry, which always really pissed me off. It didn't piss me off until more recently. Like as I've gotten older, I realized I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. How can you just not accept? Like, how do you excuse that thing? Is like he didn't sin or whatever. Like, he didn't mess up.
Well, but Jesus wasn't a sinless, from what I understand, right? Like he was still born with original sin because he was a man.
I guess I don't know. I was always under the impression that he was perfect, essentially.
I'm not sure. You could probably look that up to decide whether or not Jesus ever sinned. I don't know. But anyway, enough of Stoned Ape Theory or anything else.
Just longest tangent ever.
There's a crack off to the show.
There's your 10-minute intro to the episode.
Dude, so we haven't talked a ton since Arizona and your run.
Yeah.
That was a really wild experience for me.
Yeah.
To be part of that. And I have a bunch of strange questions I'd like to know, but I'd love for you to kind of give your recount, what you did.
Yeah.
The plan, how it was.
So this kind of went back to the beginning of, the beginning of 2019. I was kind of in an interesting place in my athletic career or pursuits or whatever you want to call it, because for the past 5 years at that point, I had been training and competing on American Ninja Warrior. And I got to a point where parallel to Ninja Warrior, I was also running in the mountains, which I had an infinite love for. I love ninja, but man, I love running. And it got to the point in my ninja career where I kind of just fell out of love with it. And while I fell out of love with ninja, I was still really passionate and in love with mountain running, specifically distance running in the mountains.
Have you pinpointed what about the ninja thing you fell out of love with?
I think it was twofold. And I think that anybody that's ever been on the show can relate to this. And it's the thing that ninjas don't talk about. It's the fact that you start to get recognized as only one thing. You're just somebody from the show. Yeah. And I didn't like the idea of entirely just being one dimensional.
Identity's a weird one, man.
Identity's a tough one. I'm entirely grateful for my opportunities with the show. I was able to do things that the majority of people will never be able to. But I just always felt like I was just so much more than that one thing. And I kind of wanted to just do something a little bit different where, I could kind of express more of who I am. So that was one part of it. The other part of it was I wasn't as fired up for the training as I used to be.
That gets tricky, right?
Yeah, because, I'm in Montana, right? So I'm in the northwest part of Montana. And for those that don't know, Montana is a state.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a recognized, it's a huge state. There's not a lot of people there. Not a lot of people know about it. The reason I say that is because when it came time to train, I was always doing it alone. I was doing it by myself. And for the first few years of training, that was no problem for me.
So did you build a course?
Yeah. I had to build all of the obstacles myself, which was fun. I don't mind training alone. But it got to a point where, man, I wasn't as passionate about the training. I was kind of like working through this identity thing with Ninja. And all of the while I would be training for Ninja Warrior, I'd be thinking like, man, I'm excited about this run I got this weekend.
Now with that identity with the Ninja Warrior thing, did you feel like, because you had a rough go on your second
second
Ninja Warrior,
season.
right?
Yeah.
So second season.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the kind of the low after that, like and being able to look at it like you gave Ninja Warrior too much access to you, like to your identity for it to be able to control your emotions and be down or any of that?
Yeah, I think that's part of it for sure. Yeah, because if I was feeling a certain way about Ninja Warrior at that point, it got to me a little bit, I think. Again, love Ninja Warrior, love the people.
Of course. Like I feel the same way about Highland Games to some extent, right? Like it's anything that's a big identifier in your life. At some point you decide, are you Dan the Ninja Warrior guy and always have to be identified as that?
Or am I just Dan the
And Ninja Warrior is a rad thing you did.
Right. Exactly.
Same way I feel about Highland Games. Like I don't want to be Matt Vincent, the Highland Games guy. I'm super proud of it.
Yeah.
It's the fucking coolest thing I'll probably ever get to do.
Right?
That I got to do that and be fucking great at it.
Yeah. With all of your friends and you got to travel and you got to make all these memories.
But
yeah,
none of those PRs or world championships are going on my fucking tombstone.
Sure.
Man. I better do some cooler shit.
And that's kind of the point that I got to is I wanted to see what else I was capable of. And so that's kind of where I transitioned away from Ninja Warrior and I still had this love for running. So I'm like, okay, well, what's next for me? And because I was still running, it just kind of felt like a natural progression of what I could try next.
So you're already doing trail running and stuff like that, just for fun.
Yeah. I'm just running, 20, 30 miles up in the mountains, up in Glacier National Park, which is
There's no better way to do it.
Yeah, man.
Part of me figuring out this run shit, Dan, is so that I can take part in rad shit. Like,
yes,
dude, I want to be able to say yes to stuff like that. I don't want to sit there and be like, my knee's going to hurt. I can't do 20 miles. Like, nah, man, I need it. I'd be so bummed.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I don't want to miss out.
And so that's kind of where it came from. So 2019 comes around and I'm like, okay, I'm transitioning away from Ninja Warrior. What would happen if I just go all in on this running thing? And so I hired a coach. I hired a guy out of Arizona. His name is Zach Bitter. And Zach is a phenomenal coach. He's a world record holder, runs the fastest 100-miler in the world. Amazing guy. He takes me on as a client and starts putting a program together for me to train for this 100-mile mountain race, desert mountain race in Arizona. Okay. So I go all in on this running thing.
So how long ago did this start?
This is January 2019.
Okay.
2019. Excuse me, 20. Yeah, January of 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's when I really went all in on everything. Okay. So I trained for 12 months straight. I ran damn near every day.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know you at all as Ninja Warrior.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And so because I don't know you at all of that,
yeah.
I feel like that ended fucking decades ago. That has nothing to do with the Dan that I know, right?
That's like when I see pictures of you throwing caber or in strongman, like, who is this guy?
Like that had to have been forever ago. Meanwhile, it's just before we met.
Right. Like right before.
Right. Yeah. Within the 2 years.
Yeah, man. So I trained for an entire year. I ran damn near every day. I think I missed 3 days out of the entire year, and they were just because of travel. So I really went all in on this. And then it came time to go and do this race. And I was scheduled to race in Hawaii, running the HVIII, arguably one of the top 500-mile races in the world.
It's an ugly one.
Yeah, it's it's almost 30,000 feet of climbing, over 100 miles. It's an insane course, triple canopy jungle,
casual Everest.
Yeah, it's crazy. But because of everything going on with COVID, that race was canceled and I had to pivot. And what I pivoted to was Arizona. Definitely not anywhere near the elevation, but still 100 miles, So
in a very different terrain.
Much different terrain.
But at least with the 100 miles in Hawaii, you have shade.
Yeah. Right.
So
right. And that, which I'll get into in a minute, that was a big thing, was just the difference in terrain. I came from Montana training, pretty much peaking in the snow in the winter, and then going out to the desert. And even though it was only like 65 degrees on race day,
doesn't matter.
It was the greatest equalizer.
Yeah.
For anybody that wasn't trained in the sun, 65 degrees was tough. So we go to Arizona. I trained for 12 months. And, this was like my first crack at running a big race. And I chose the 100-mile distance before ever running a marathon or anything like that, because I just thought, like 100 miles is a rounded number. It sounds just out of reach. It sounds crazy. Like, who the hell would really want to run 100 miles? Yeah. And so I just signed up for it and did it.
Dude, the problem is now that I've been to one, and then got to watch you do it. Yeah. It's normalized the 100 mile as a thing for me.
Yes.
And so I feel really weird telling people I'm doing an 18-mile thing in Bryce Canyon. Like, it feels just so sad. It's like, meanwhile, it's way fucking farther than I've ever done anything. But like, it's always just like, well, Rob and Dan are doing 100. I'm just going to go jog around for a little bit, while they're doing their thing.
And that's the crazy part about running. And you just said it, normalized. And with distance running, when people tell you that they just, did like a 30 or 40 mile run, I've even found myself like, oh, cool, right on. What else are you going to do today? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's so insane. It's so crazy.
That's more than I'm in a week.
Yeah.
And like, I'm getting massaged. Like, my body's trashed.
Yes. It's so insane what you normalize. But that has also kind of been like one of the focal points in my entire training, is that simple fact, is that it's just 100 miles. And that's something that in training, I'll continually just say to myself and go over, is it's only 100 miles. It's only 100 miles. And by normalizing that, I think that you can take something that's so out of reach or so audacious and actually make it seem doable. And so that was like kind of one of those things that I tried to keep coming back to from a mental perspective, because so much of ultra running is mindset. It's so much, because you can run 30 miles without any kind of training, but to run the next 70 miles, it's all upstairs. And so that was something that from an early start that I had to get on board with. And
that's everything about this that's turned me on to it.
100%. It's a mental game.
Dude, I've known people to do cool physical things. That's nothing new. Like, I love it. I love mutants.
Yeah.
And then
I like that word, mutants. I've never heard
they
that
are,
before.
man. These fucking high-powered prototypes aliens, that were never meant for. What's that? That line from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. These high-powered prototypes were never meant for mass production.
Yes, yes.
Too weird to live and too strange to die.
Yep.
But yeah, it was, man, I just got such a different perspective of mindset and mental toughness watching you do that thing that when you came in at mile 60 and we were there at 4 or 5 a.m. or whatever time that was.
Yeah.
And we pit stop and tuned you up and do everything we can,
that was
right?
So
like
good.
To watch you take that 10 minutes and not take 15.
Yeah.
And then shuffle back out into the dark.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have the ability to get out of that chair.
Mm.
And that was something I just realized just really strong. I was like, I just don't know if at 4 a.m. I've got what it takes to walk away from the tent. Yeah. Even if for 10 steps, even if for that next mile, or like, what is it I'm telling? Like, you just have to go. Stop sitting here. You have to move.
Yeah.
And like that bit for me was, dude, if I can learn 10% of being able to tough it through a thing like that, it can be so valuable to me in every other aspect.
Yeah. And I think that, like, for me, what made it easier to get out of that chair was, those full 12 months prior to that day, I've been thinking about that chair. I've been thinking about mile 60. I've been thinking about being in the dark, legs swollen, ready to be done. I've been thinking about that moments because I knew that it was going to come. And because I had put it in my mind a million times before, I was already ready for it. So if I'm being completely honest, it was easy to get out of that chair at mile 60 after 10 minutes because I had been planning that. I mean, even the 2 miles prior to that chair at mile 58, I already knew that, okay, when I get there, I'm going to be here for 10 minutes. I'm going to need this, this, and this. It was already part of the plan. It's been in the works.
Just we're on autopilot
at that point.
We're not thinking. We're not making emotional decisions.
Nope. I'm just going to get what I need from my crew. I'm going to tell them and show them that I appreciate them. And then I'm back out into the dark.
Man.
And that was like one of the I could say easily like one of the highlights of my life was being in the dark with you guys and running like that last stretch of the race. Because that was like that point where I was able to really peel back another layer of who the fuck I am and run back out into the dark, and go for another 20 miles.
But you're someone, even prior to this run, that I probably can't think higher of. I love being around you. The energy's always been rad.
Thank you, brother. Likewise.
Always been awesome, man. And that separated. It separated you into a different category of human for me. And it was really cool to watch. And it was one of those things of like, you're lucky. You're lucky to be around. You're lucky to get to see this. You're lucky to get motivated by it. You're lucky to see what people can do.
Yeah. When they plan and prepare and, like put themselves out to do.
Yeah. I'm not sure in the preparation, like, because I don't have any concept of what that type of run feels like or looks like or strategizing for it. I would have never thought about getting out of the chair to prep for that moment.
Yeah.
Because it didn't hit me until I watched you have to get out of that chair of like, oh, fuck. I don't know that I could get out of that chair.
That chair feels good at mile 60, man. When you've been on
just
your feet
2 more minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's easy to get into that, right?
Of course,
there, right?
Of course, right? And you start playing those games with yourself.
Man, and that's a parallel. That's why I love running so much, because there's so many parallels from just 2 more minutes in the chair to the rest of life. I got this project that I need to finish. I got this video that I need to edit. I got this call that I need to make. But just 2 more minutes. Let me just sit here and be.
It's so easy to procrastinate it, right?
So
just
easy.
to buy yourself that time until
easy.
Until it's not loud anymore.
Right. And that's the trap. That's the pitfall of everything. And I think that's why I think I love running so much, is because it's so much more mental than physical. I mean,
I don't know that I love it.
Hey, that's fair. Because I don't even know sometimes why the hell I'm doing it. But I'll be out there. I'll be honest with you. I'll be out there like mile 40. I'm like, God, why am I doing this right now? Why am I hurting so bad?
That happens to me a lot earlier.
Why am I doing this to myself? I can't believe I paid somebody to let me do this.
Right. No, it's all of that. But that's the thing I want to be able to fight through, right?
Yeah.
Like my sport, had its own challenges with the training or any of that. Like it was going to the field to throw by myself. It was to go to the gym and sweat again and do the training. And not only that, like I know my season.
Yeah.
And so essentially like my training on May 5th is the same.
Yeah.
Because I know when Worlds are.
Yeah.
Right. There's a couple variations to when they are in the year, but I know how to peak. I know what it's going to look like.
You know what the taper looks like, all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not auto. And the problem is when it is that way, to not let it go to autopilot.
Sure. Because that's the most important time, right?
Yep. Because you got to stay on the gas.
Yeah.
You have to give a shit about the training.
Yeah.
Now at that point, there were some different things I could do where like, if I knew I was having a bad day throwing, I'm not grinding out trying to fix technique that day. I'm just going to call it.
Yeah.
What are we doing? We know how to throw. It's a bad day. You know that it's a bad day. Be confident in your ability. Go to the fucking house.
Yep.
You know, and so you've got to have those runs too, right? Where you get out there and feel like, you know, it just never switched over to being a thing I wanted to do.
It does. And I think that like there's two types of runs like that I think of. Number one is when my breathing doesn't settle in like it should. And it takes longer for me to kind of like get that under control. Those are the runs that get in my head quick. I used to be like early on in my training program, I would be like 3 miles before my breath would settle in and I would be okay. And throughout the course of a year, I got down to like that half mile mark. Like within half mile, I'm good. But when they don't go that way, that's when those kind of runs come up for me. But the other one is like when my legs just feel like 1,000 pounds. You know what I mean? You ever been in those trainings where it's like you feel like you should have recovered because you had 2 or 3 days off?
It's every run training I've done for the last 3 weeks, man. Feel that
Those
way.
are the other kinds
It's
that get in my head.
I'm just waiting. I'm all sitting here like his breathing doesn't even get together for 3 miles. Like I've never breathed correctly then. Like
it's so
there's so
funny.
much new to learn.
Oh, there's so much. And there's so much because so much can happen over the course of 100 miles. You know, it's like the best way I could describe it is be like an entire lifetime goes by in a 100-mile race because you will experience every different type of emotion.
Oh, you have to.
Every single situation that could come up throughout life is going to be in that situation. And as a runner, if you want to be able to finish that race, you got to figure out how to problem solve. You've got to be a professional problem solver.
Well, it ends up being, I guess, you know, the longer stuff I've done on bikes or any of those type of things. You know, I've done some like 5 or 7 hour days on bikes.
Yeah.
It ends up being like almost a mindfulness type of setting for me because I don't do well with like laying still. Like that's not the place for me to meditate.
You and me both.
Right. So my meditation is I need something I can put the machine on autopilot and let it pretend it's busy.
Yeah.
Right. Like, here's a Rubik's Cube for you to solve while we can take care of some shit up here.
Yeah.
Because I need your fidgety shit to go away.
Yeah, to chill out. Yeah. That's how I feel like when I'm at the ranch and I'm cutting trees and burning and, you know, cleaning up the land. I run that chainsaw. That's like my autopilot stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, dude, that's where I problem solve. That's where I sort through or have big concepts. And I'm like, what are we doing with that?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm going left instead of this way. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going left.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In that 100 miles, like as you're prepping for it, like, and I know I'm a guy who's going to start running scenarios of like, well, if this happens, here's the blah, blah, blah. If this happens, here's what I would think.
Yeah.
If it all goes really well, we don't have to plan for that.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to ever worry about that scenario. What were your big unknowns you were concerned about that either did or didn't happen?
So I think one of them was the temperature, because I knew I was going to be running in a different climate. I knew that it was going to be warmer, and I had no way to train for the heat being in Montana, where I was running in an average of 10 to 20 degree weather all the time, every day. So that was the big thing for me is once I got to Arizona, I was trying to figure out like, how am I going to deal with this heat being out in the middle of the desert? Well, there's no shade cover. There's nothing.
Yeah, there's none.
There's none.
Yeah, you're fully exposed that whole loop.
Fully exposed. So from miles 20 to 40, I was fully exposed. And man, that 20-mile stretch took me an hour and a half longer than the previous 20 miles just because of the heat. So that was one thing.
We were concerned about your water. Like, we
yeah.
were worried about dehydration.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you came in with a full, like a pretty full pack, and
Yeah.
then we put together the thing that there's other places that have water than here.
Aid stations. Yeah.
Yeah, we're only good for our station, Dan. We don't know the whole course.
Well, you guys had the best station, man.
But you also think about like how different our experiences of that event, right?
yeah.
Because we only witnessed 200 yards of that race.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's
I
a
have
good point.
no clue what the rest of your day or night looks like, and we both were there.
So the majority of the day, honestly, was spent, I would say a lot of it on autopilot, honestly, because you get to a point where, let's say you're 20 miles into a run, you still got 80 to go. You have to go on autopilot. You got to automate as much as you can. Like, you just get your pace down, find that pace where you're kind of pushing just a little bit harder than you normally would in a normal training
Just
run.
pressure on the front foot.
That's it. Lean forward a little more
Yep.
at the torso, and that's it. And so automating systems as much as you can, and is really what I did. Mentally, I was in a good place the entire time until the end of the race. I put a lot of my mindset on autopilot too. I wasn't thinking a ton, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I didn't have any like big revelations, or I wasn't thinking about anything. My mind just kind of like went blank, and I kind of was just doing my thing. I was fueling every time my watch would go off every 30 minutes.
So you've automated everything.
I want to take as much off my conscious mind as like the top of my head as I can.
Okay.
The less that I can be focusing on, the more I'm going to be able to dedicate that energy towards the physical side, me running. But if I'm thinking about, what time is it? I need to look and get some calories in right now, or how much water do I have in my bladder? That's taking away time and mental energy, and where it could be better used.
And you've got
else.
it set on an alarm.
Yeah.
And you have it set on an alarm based on clock, not distance.
Clock. Yeah. Everything in the ultra realm should be time based, not mileage based. So even the training program. So for example, the goal isn't, okay, today I'm going to run 6 miles. Today I'm going to run 60 minutes, and whatever mileage I get. So everything is time based, so like when I'm fueling, my watch goes off every 30 minutes, and I do something different every 30 minutes. So at the 30-minute mark, I'm going to take in 120 calories from a gel pack. Okay, cool. The next time it goes off, I'm doing a gel pack plus a ginger candy.
And the ginger candy is just for sugar, glucose.
Primarily just to like keep my stomach under control.
Okay,
because what happens,
of all the gels.
The gels, and just running. Like, humans were not meant to run.
Shake for 20 hours.
No, they weren't meant to do that. We were not built to do that. We were built to walk long distances. Forever. So the ginger candies, they're there just to keep my stomach from getting too upset, which they do a great job of. So yeah, every time that watch buzzes on my wrist, okay, I know what I need to do this time. I know that I need to drink this much water. When this buzz happens, I know that I need to drink this much water when I get a double buzz. So, I mean, the more you can automate, the better.
So even water. But, I mean, you're still occasionally drinking because you're thirsty.
Yes.
Or are you just punched out?
Yes. So there are points, like I would say, like during the heat of the day, miles 20 through 40, I was drinking much more water than when I was running miles 0 to 20 and miles 40 to 60.
Sure.
Because
temperature change would be drastic.
Big time.
Like almost 40 degrees.
Yeah, it was big. I remember when I was around like the mile 60-ish, 65 mark. It was like 30, 35 out there.
Yeah, it was
like
when we were there for that final pit stop. Like, it was cold.
It was cold. Yeah. I didn't feel the temperature at the time, but I just knew that that's where my body was doing the best, because that's like where I was training.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you've also got back into a temperature.
Yep, I got back into my temperature range where I felt really good, and so it was okay. But yeah, you got to drink the water regardless of if you're thirsty or not. Because your body just needs it.
Well, if you're thirsty, you've overshot it.
Sure. That's a great point. Absolutely. And that's kind of like the thing where you kind of get to work into now is figuring out, like, what are your calorie ranges? What are your hydration level ranges for every 30 minutes, every 45, 60 minutes? That's what you get to figure out. And that's the beautiful part about ultra running is you're just twisting knobs and pushing buttons and pulling, and figuring out what works. And that's what's cool about it. How does the machine work? Yeah.
And your knowledge is useful.
Yeah.
But it isn't how my machine works.
Correct. So I think that, like,
There's some stuff that equals.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Like,
we'll work on some things.
I'm not going to drink Diet Coke for the whole run.
Here's the crazy part though.
Come on.
Coke, especially like regular Coke, Dr. Pepper, you'll always find those at aid stations.
Yeah, sugar, man.
Sugar.
Just
and
dump it in
the
there.
stomach.
Yeah.
Interestingly
Carbonation and
enough,
sugar.
It's so funny when you go to the aid stations, the foods that you would never expect to see in the race.
Well, they're not quote
people are
unquote
eating.
healthy foods.
Right.
Right. And you'd want to think because this is a event or a sport,
Yeah.
or these people are health conscious.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things I've ever heard is a girl, Jessica Fitzgibbons, I believe is her name, Jessica on Instagram. And she's fucking jacked and trains out there with Jesse Burdick in California
Cool.
at their gym and at CSA. And so we had a booth really early on in Haight at a powerlifting meet. Like, I'm hanging out talking to her, and she has come over to the booth and she is smashing this box of donuts that I have
Yeah.
for people and
Yeah.
just fucking housing them. And I mean, she's shredded.
Yeah.
And so I poke fun at her. I'm like, Jessica, that's how you get a body like that? And she leans in and looks at me and she goes, you build a big enough fire, you throw whatever the fuck you want on it.
Hey,
And I'm like,
I like that
and
confidence.
that's
too,
what it is
right?
in the run,
Yeah.
right? Like, you build a big enough deficit, you need calories. Your body doesn't
100%.
give a shit what they are.
No. And everything tastes good at that point in the race.
Right.
I started switching to Whole Foods at like mile 41, and I would get up to an aid station and be like, tortilla wraps with beans and cheese. I would never eat that anywhere else but here. And then I taste it and it's like the best thing I've ever had. I don't even like grilled cheese, but I had grilled cheese at one of the aid stations. It's just so funny how that works.
I think that's an interesting concept, right? That like that thing that comes from effort and work.
Yeah.
That perception shift that even happens with things like that of like, how good's water?
Yeah.
Like when you've done a long run or a long training session or any of this or a long ride or be on a long ride or a run and run out of water.
Yeah.
And then get to it.
Yeah.
That water's awesome.
So good.
Like,
right?
I don't need anything else. It's way better than any fancy drink I've ever had.
Yeah. So true, man.
And whether that or simple foods or anything, because you need it.
Yes.
It tastes better.
Yep. You held out for it too. Yeah. The ultra running thing, man. I don't think people realize what goes into the crewing side of it. And this is something that you were just mentioning, that you only got to see a little bit of the race and then I would take off. On the other hand, I only got to see you guys for like 10 minutes at a time.
Right.
So
It's a very strange trip.
It's so different. But what I love about it is if I didn't have a crew there, the race would have been much more challenging. But what most people don't realize is an ultra runner is his or her success is largely dependent on the crew and what they do and how in sync they are with one another. And
just
you
even
guys,
gnarlier people that solo stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the crews, man, I mean, you guys did so much for me mentally, physically, emotionally. Like, I remember there was one time I was on the second loop. I just come in from mile 40, I believe. And I remember I had you giving me a sponge bath.
Yeah.
Cause I remember I showed up and you were like, take your shirt off. And I was like, okay, I'm taking my shirt off. And then I sat down
and just want to get the salt off of you, man.
Want to get the salt off.
Get that salt
smart.
because you're not going to be able to perspire going forward. You'll either overheat or continue to dry out.
And that was smart. I didn't even think of that. But I remember lying in that chair with no shirt and you're giving me a sponge bath.
Yeah, I've got towels that I'm pouring water on and wiping you down.
I got somebody like with a Theragun in my back. I had somebody feeding me food. Like, there was just so much that went into that very short amount of time. And I don't think that people realize how crucial a support team is when you're running a race like that. I set goals before my race. I had 7 of them. And one of them was to remind my support crew of how valuable they are.
Dude, it was never questioned.
Yeah. But I could not believe how good you guys were to me. Well, that was amazing.
We're all high performers.
Right.
And so like we all know. And I think not only that, I think it's really easy for us to switch into the mindset as a high performer that I can kind of tap in, that I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Or what I'm going through, right?
Ish.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah. And
enough to go, you know, it'd be really awesome if I came in from this, like what help I'd like is everything.
Yes.
And so like, let's make, if we're only going to get 10 minutes with him, let's make it the best 10 minutes we can for him.
Hey.
Let's rebuild spirits. Let's get him stoked on it. Let's make sure the perspective's good. Let's get him fed. He doesn't have to work here.
Yes.
He can shut off.
Yep. And I totally was able to do that, man. And I would always leave the support tent feeling so good, like renewed, rejuvenated, and ready for another lap. That was amazing. From a runner's perspective, like that, I don't think that I'll ever have a support crew like that again. Cause that was like,
we'll just do it again.
Yeah, it would have to be you guys. Cause now I don't want anybody else.
So in Bryce Canyon, we should have a pretty rad support crew because so Bonnie and my team will be there.
Oh yeah.
And so they only have to deal with, they don't even really have to help me. Cause once I show back up, I'm done. I'm putting on flip flops and calling it a wrap.
That's it. Going to the snack bar.
Oh yeah. Probably finding my pipe.
Absolutely, man.
Time, as if I haven't had it with me on the run.
Well, and that's something I was thinking about for you is, do you know what you're going to be doing for food, snacks? Are you carrying a pack? Like what's your game plan?
I'm planning on carrying a pack. Like I've got my runner's pack.
Okay.
It's 18 miles. Like I have an idea of what calorically I trash on a 50 or 60 mile bike ride.
Yep.
So I know calorically for me, it'll be really expensive.
Yep.
And we'll do a video talking about all this in depth. Yeah, so like I'm pretty much based on that calorically at that pace, what I'm cooking at right now, because I've been doing hours.
Yep.
I'm about 12 or 1,300 calories an hour.
Okay.
Hydration, I don't know.
Yep.
I'm just gonna go with more.
Yep.
Because I sweat ridiculous amounts.
Okay.
But I know that I don't have any problem right now doing like all of my cardio. I typically do fasted because it's when I'm fasted in the morning anyway, and then I run in the morning because it's most convenient for my schedule.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to fuel.
Yep. Yeah.
And I know that that's something that as I get further into the times that I'm going to have to be putting in every week, that I can't maintain this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to start fueling different in the next 2 weeks. And that's something I'll work with Steffi and Hayden on for like fueling for performance with them running my nutrition.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
So start adding more carbohydrates. I'm still pretty low carb right now.
Do you like the gels when you're running?
They're fine.
Yeah.
The best one, I don't ever get nausea.
Okay.
Like I'm pretty iron gut down there.
Yeah.
You don't get to walk around at 300 plus pounds at this height and be real picky about food.
That's a good point.
Yeah, no, this thing could just garbage disposal. You just shove it in there. It'll garbage
just keep
juicer. Just jamming it in. So yeah, nothing really bothers the system.
That's cool.
I mean, I could drink a beer and it wouldn't be any big deal. So,
well, you won't be the only one out there because there will be some at that distance that are really
just having a good time.
Having a good time.
I plan on it.
I mean, did you see the guy at the Arizona race in that big blue tuxedo and
he
the
did
jester
100,
hat?
Right?
Yeah, he finished the 100.
And like apparently that's his thing. Like he just shows up and crushes shit.
Yeah.
So did that 100-year-old man that we saw made of driftwood.
Amen. He passed me.
Yeah, of course. Father Time rolled right by you.
Like I was hobbling through with swollen feet and seizing low back, and he passed by me, said a couple words of wisdom.
First
and
100, son. Yeah, just cruised by.
I remember my first, and he just
Weird,
cruised
I passed
on by. And I never saw him again. He finished the race.
Meanwhile, like you remember back at the start when he sees you and he's like, see you later. Like, wait, you son of a bitch.
Well, I saw him and I'm like, oh man, like this would be a long day for that guy.
He's a dude to be scared of.
That's it.
He's got 200 of these under his belt. Like it's just a day.
He told me that too. He's like, this is my 12th 100. I just remember thinking like, when I'm 160 years old like that guy, I want to be crushing just like he is. I still want to be moving my body. I still want to be out here competing. I still want to be sharp.
Dude.
And that was so inspiring.
I look at guys like that, right? And it's just more of the affirmation for me that I have no plans on old age being what takes me.
100%.
No fucking way.
100%.
It'll be doing something.
Yep. Yep. I ultimately just want to be that really old guy that everyone's like, wow, I cannot believe he's still doing that. That's a big driver for me, is to just like die fit.
For sure.
Die strong,
I still want to die
right?
capable.
Yeah.
You know, valuable. That I can still participate. I can still help.
Yep. Yep.
Man, there's nothing I hate more than being waited after.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
That was probably the hardest part for me with knee surgeries and all that, was just that I had to be helped.
Having people
Hate it.
Yeah, I get that. That can be hard. How was that on your identity? Because, you know, at that point, like, you've been an athlete your whole life, and then all of a sudden you have this traumatic injury.
That was the tough part.
Sure, I would imagine.
Chronic, you know, I really didn't deal with any of the identity part until way later. I got too deep into pain.
Yep.
And that just was the loudest thing in the room, that figuring out identity didn't matter because I couldn't go up and down stairs.
Got it. So that wasn't even...
Not until it got a bit under control. And then you got to have moments and just get frustrated because, like, my brain's not hurt. It knows how to do all the things it's always known how to do. It doesn't understand the new limitations of this thing that it's driving.
That's what it's still learning.
Yeah. And then it's mad about those limitations instead of, these are the limitations.
Yeah, I get that.
You know?
I get that.
So getting out of pain helped fix a lot of that. But yeah, the identity, like, I knew that I wasn't ever going to be a Highland Game athlete for long term. Mm-hmm. Because you can't. It's not how it works, especially not at world champion level.
What's the average? I hate saying lifespan.
Yeah, no. That's
athlete,
what it is.
What is it?
Average career length. Yeah. It really varies because guys at the top end of the game, it's not as abusive a sport as strongman or powerlifting because the weights don't ever get heavier.
Sure.
You just have to throw them further.
Sure. But you get older and the strength
and
all
you do
that.
get older. Also, the sport's a bit of an old boys system.
Yep.
So there's plenty of games that you can still do as a pro that you'll get an invite to until you die.
Okay, got it.
They're not merit based.
Okay.
Per se. So
okay.
There's a lot of that. Now, big important games for sure. So, like, I mean, there's dudes that'll do it for 25 years and just cruise around the pro circuit doing a couple games a year, making a few bucks. And as long as you're in a joy to be around, people will invite you to games because they don't care how far you throw.
I get that.
Because we're entertainment.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're being paid to compete, but we're sold to the crowd as entertainment watching the athletics.
Yep.
You know, it's not WWE scripted, but we're putting on a show.
Yep.
And we are hired as entertainment.
Yep.
And so the crowd doesn't know the difference in big throws and not big throws.
Sure.
And especially if a really far throw is 45 feet in the heavyweight for distance, but at the pro level 42's garbage, like you can't tell that from 80 feet away.
Yeah,
like you don't know the difference in how that looks.
That makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
You can still be part of it and do it a long term.
And you did it 10
I did it
years?
I did it professionally I did 6 years professionally and 9 total years.
What was like the biggest thing that it brought to you? Like, I mean, whether it be like an emotion or like I don't know, like what did Highland Games do for you?
Confidence.
Okay.
Of anything.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of it going into it. Like I've always been, as an athlete, I've always considered myself a gamer.
Yeah.
And I was never the king of practice, man. Like I know that I have another gear when it counts.
Sure.
And so what the Highland Games really helped me do was dial in that gear, like figure out where that gas pedal is, that I am confident that if it's push come to shove, I show up. Mm-hmm. That if it's final throw, bottom of the ninth, this is your moment.
I'm going to take it. I'm going to break that motherfucker
Not only
off.
that, if it's one of us has to make a decision for that pressure.
Yeah.
I fucking want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing I want less than to watch you take it. Pass or fail, I want my fucking hands on the wheel.
Yeah.
I'm all right with failing. I'm not all right with failing because you failed.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Right. So I'll take it. I'll take the risk. I also trust myself to perform when I say perform.
Yeah.
So that got hard to lose, that I couldn't perform. And so you figure out how to do it differently. But that's lent to a lot of confidence, even with hate, right? Like we put out a lot of items. We put out a lot of graphic designs. We put out a lot of stuff that I've got a concept behind. Like I don't hand that off to a design team and say, come up with 5 cool things. So I've been able to try to dial in the gas pedal of performing in that arena Like, okay, I'm going to do creative work for the next 2 hours. I can flip that switch. And that it's tricky to do, but if I can control it, why can't I?
Sure.
And so it's just figuring out how to get it turned on. And so that's the stuff I want to learn from running too. Is like, I want to be able to cut noise off better.
Yeah. I think a lot of that came for me in training. Like the race day reaffirmed it, but a lot of it came in training and putting myself in those different situations where I would have to respond accordingly. And it's almost like in those runs, I'm practicing going through all of these different scenarios so that when they come up in real life in the race, even if they don't happen exactly how I trained it to be, at least I know enough about that similar situation to problem solve the rest.
Right. Oh, I get a giant blister on my heel.
Okay, cool.
Or
make sure that I got
on my
second
Achilles
skin.
or a rubbed raw for some reason today.
Cool. So I'm going to have second skin in my bag. I'm just going to have a
Shoelace
piece
tears.
here. Yep.
Shoelace busting is one of the
Hey, man.
worst things in the world.
And it's so embarrassing too, because the majority of runners never bring shoelaces.
No, you're fucked.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Your whole day's ruined. Like everything else is great. And this thing is the gatekeeper to whether or not you can do it today.
And then you got to go back and you got to tell everybody what happened.
I had a shoelace break.
My shoelace broke.
And everyone can make fun of that because it's worth it. But meanwhile, no one's ever had spare shoelaces.
Right. So what I did to combat that situation is I brought 2 pairs of shoes. Because if a shoe blows
Swap 'em out.
hey, whatever, man, I'm having 2 of everything.
Yeah.
2 headlamps, 2 shoes. I brought 3 outfits. I literally tried to game plan for as much as I could in that race.
Because if it goes well, we don't have to plan for that.
Right. And I'll pay the extra money to have to, to stow a bag under the plane to, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Right.
I'm not going to get caught out there with my pants around my ankles.
Yeah. So, and so for me, I've got really no anxiety or concern about the run in Bryce Canyon.
Yeah.
I can do that time.
Yes.
I know that.
Yes.
I could do that time whether I train for that or not.
Yes.
However, the training leading up to that gives me far more anxiety than the actual run.
Okay. Why?
Because I know how much it's going to impact the rest of my life. I know that it'll become an inconvenience.
Yeah.
And so I'll have to strategize to fight that.
Is running a priority to you right now?
It is right now. And I'm trying to keep it there.
Okay.
The problem is I have a lot of things that are priority.
Sure. Is it a lower priority right now or no?
Than work? I mean, I do have to, there's more that depends on me doing my job than say how far I run, right?
Right.
So that's, I've got that's the priority and it's got to stay up front because it drives everything else.
Yeah.
So I can't lose grip on that. Luckily, it is a bit more flexible work-wise than other people's jobs.
Yes.
But I know that I'm going to have to get up in the morning and go do running.
Yeah.
Because I can talk myself out of it in the evening.
Yep. And if
it ain't happened by 2 p.m. for me, the chances of me doing it are pretty fucking slim.
I think that's true for the majority of most people. I think that it's like if it isn't high on your list, the longer the day that goes by, the more you're going to put it off. I've even found myself in that situation with running. Of course.
Because then all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I have to shoehorn it in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to shoehorn it in because then that puts too many expectations on the run for me instead of just enjoying it. There was a big moment for me last week in training. Okay. So week 2 was a big moment. Mm-hmm. The fact that I did all 5 days of my training.
Yep.
That was really a big goal because I was on the road.
Okay.
So that's the first time, like, okay, I'm in Miami. It's the first time, that I'm sticking to a training program.
Yep.
In a long time since I was competing.
Yeah.
And then committing to it that this is a fucking priority. We're going to get up and do this, and we're not going to let it interact with any of the other things that you want to have happen here while we're here. So get up and go fucking do it when it's free time. Sleep less. You can do that today.
Yes.
No one's telling you can't go to bed at 9:30. Go to bed if you're tired.
You're grown. You can go to bed
get it on the front end. Get it on the front end.
Absolutely.
Right? And if you're going to stay up, then that's fine too, but we're still going to go.
You got to pay that price.
That's cool.
In the morning.
As long as we know that we're paying it.
Yeah.
And look, right now I have 5 1-hour movement sessions. I'm going to nonstop walk or run as much as I want.
Yep.
And that's my plan for the race too. I just know I need to build up to being able to do 7 hours of that, where realistically, I think what I programmed run wise, and we'll go over that too. If I can do a 5-hour day, I'm gold.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I want to be able to be in shape. I don't want to survive the 18 miles. Like, I want to fucking enjoy it. Like that run in Bryce Canyon for me, I want that to be the reward. I'm in this beautiful fucking place.
Yeah.
I'll probably be a bit stoned. I may have some plans for race day nutrition that maybe you're not. You may or may not agree with. But I've been out to Bryce Canyon. Yeah. And that place is pretty incredible. And I bet it would be a lot of fun on a little bit of mushrooms.
Well, hey, man, if you put enough work on the front end, getting your body ready for it, you're going to be able to afford that come race day.
And also, it's an aid for me because it's a huge pain reliever. And then just I can zone out on the wonderment of the place I'm in.
Yep. Absolutely, man. And that's going to be so cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be cooked. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not trying to Halloween this thing.
Yeah. For those that weren't there.
Yeah, I may have whatever. Just testing the speed limit out.
That's what we're going to call it from now on. We're going to Halloween it.
We'll Halloween this thing. Whew.
So much fun though.
Dude, one of the better nights.
Oh man. I loved your outfit.
Yours as well, dude. Yeah. Little Harry Potter was killing it.
I know, man. I know. That
Lil Wayne Harry Potter mix.
What'd you call me in the limo?
Lil Potter.
Lil Potter.
Lil Potter back there crushing it with dreadlocks. Just Lil killing it. Plus Lil Wayne's got a tattoo on his head for the lightning bolt. Yeah.
Oh man, he does. I love me some Harry Potter, man.
I'm so like I told you as I'm watching The Mandalorian. I finished The Mandalorian today during one of my runs.
Okay.
I very much enjoyed it.
Okay.
But then I'm like, shit, I have to find another thing to watch. So I started on Star Wars I haven't seen yet. Okay. Since I'm already there.
Okay, which one?
I think I'm on the Jedi,
Return of the Jedi.
Not Return of the Jedi. I've seen those. I've seen the 3 prequels.
Yep.
I saw the one with BB-8.
Yep. Oh, you're talking about the Last Jedi.
I think I'm on that one. I think I'm on the Last Jedi because the Skywalker with Rey, she only shows up in the second one, right? The second of this 3.
So I've never understood the timeline of all the movies, so I can't attest to that.
Well, I'm just like, I know that there's 3 trilogies.
Yeah.
And we'll just separate them that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's some order like that. Because it's the first one, then prequel, and then we're back to this where now we're dealing with old Leia, old stuff like that. So we're with kind of the new folks. I guess this one's the last one.
Got it.
So
okay.
I got 2 good run days I can knock out of that. It's a 2-hour film. I'm like, sweet.
Oh, cool, man.
I got two full sessions I can get out of this show.
Cool. And then what's next? What are you going to get into?
I may dive into the Harry Potter universe, which I'm familiar with.
Because you've seen them before?
Yeah, no. So my Ashley, my ex-wife, loves it.
Okay.
And so I got to, I watched it all with her.
Okay.
And I don't dislike it by any stretch.
Yeah.
I just like giving her shit.
Yeah. A lot of people do, man.
But I don't like, it's not like I'm anti-wizards or kids school or any of this.
Yeah.
It's the weird hangups I run to in plot points that if I can try to find cracks in the universe.
Give me an example.
All right. You have a groundskeeper.
Yes. Who?
Right.
Yes.
Hagrid.
Yes. Hagrid. Yeah.
What's his job?
I would say keeping students safe.
Okay.
He's also a part-time teacher as well.
And deals with the animals.
And deals with the animals.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a school that's based on magic, right?
Yes.
So if staircases can move without, say, mechanics built into the walls, you didn't have to engineer anything. Things work on magic.
Right.
Couldn't all those jobs just be done with magic? You don't have to give Hagrid shit to do because he's half wizard. I mean, isn't it kind of a dick thing to be like, yeah, you can hang out, man, but you got to do something.
Yeah. You know the backstory on Hagrid and why he's the groundskeeper, though, right?
I don't.
So Hagrid was expelled for getting into some witchcraft and wizardry.
All right.
And Dumbledore actually gave him the job after he was expelled from school. So he's kind of there, like almost as, just kind of like as a thank you to Dumbledore, and I'm going to do whatever you ask me to.
Gotcha. So he's like a
bringing me
Dumbledore
back.
assistant.
Exactly. Yeah, but he's
lives
also
in a hut off campus.
Yeah, off campus. Yeah.
Which with magic they couldn't build him a proper house if
Right,
they wanted to,
right.
right? Because they built a giant castle of a school.
Of course.
Got it.
Of course. But yeah, I mean,
Doesn't have good lighting.
not
That's
at
what he
all.
loves. He loves to live in this cave. It seems that's what people
It's
love.
like a straw hut with an oversized dog and a spider for a
you could
best
snap
friend.
your fingers and give him the exact house he wanted to. And he's
With
got-
running water even.
Right. No. Not acceptable.
Hut.
We only use magic for certain things like moving staircases or paintings that dance a bit.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's not give Hagrid a house. Dicks.
I love Harry Potter, man. That was like one of my first introductions to a series of movies when I was younger. And I think for so many people like that haven't seen any of the movies, it's easy to like laugh and poke fun and like tell jokes about it. But man, there's just something about it. I feel like
Well, it's special too because you get to grow up with the characters.
that's a big part of it for
And
sure.
if you're in the right age range, like
Hey.
they dumped one of these out every year.
They did. Absolutely. And seeing the characters develop and being a part of all of that, I'll be honest with you, if I wasn't in this dimension as who I am right now and I could go to another, I would easily go and be a wizard.
Okay,
I'd easily
so this
be in Harry
this
Potter.
is a question that I've thought about posing recently,
Okay.
but I have to throw in some caveats for the question.
I'm listening.
All right. So the actual question is, what other, like left or right turn in your life
Okay.
was a left or right turn? Yeah, big life change, one way or the other decision.
Yeah.
That you're curious what the other life would have been,
Yeah.
but it's not a comparison to this one.
Mm.
We're not doing it as a, yeah, but you'd miss out on X, Y, or Z. That's
Yeah.
not the game.
Yeah.
The game is, which one are you curious about?
That's a really good question. The one I'm curious about was in 2010. I moved from California to Billings, Montana to play arena football for the Billings Outlaws. After the first season, we had the most random thing ever. We had a tornado that came through and blew down our home field, our stadium. Montana never has tornadoes, first off, but for some
it
reason,
attacked your job.
I couldn't make that up if I tried.
That's crazy.
You can look it up.
It's a bit of a sign.
Oh yeah, you can look it up, man. The whole Metra was the name of the arena. Blew down. And
At least you weren't like the indestructible whatevers.
right.
Right? Like,
Yeah, true.
wind got us.
Yeah, the Billings tornadoes. So it blew down our stadium the week before our championship game. And so at that time, we actually finished the championship game was at our practice facility that year, which is
You wouldn't
interesting.
just move it to the other team?
Well, that's where I'm headed with this.
Okay.
So once the stadium blew down, the owners didn't want to rebuild the facility in time. Insurance company didn't want to pay. And so at that time, the team disbanded. Everybody went their own ways. Some people went and played for other teams. Some people didn't. I chose to not go find another team to play for. So to answer your question,
So by that point, were you clearly not interested?
no, physically, I was at the peak of my football career at that point. But at that time, I was dating a woman who had a young child who I was both interested in seeing where that was going to go. And so at that time, I chose to go with those two instead of going and finding another team.
So this is your daughter.
Yeah.
And again, not your biological daughter.
Correct. But
Again, who cares?
yeah, exactly. The
This
one
is
that
your
I'd
daughter.
been with since she was a year old.
Yeah, this wasn't one that you were obligated to.
Correct.
It's your choice.
It was
I
my
get it.
choice. Yeah. So that would be the time. If I would have gone to look for another team, or if I had done something different and continued to pursue my football career, what would that have looked like?
Right.
I think about that from time to time.
What could they have moved with you?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
But at that time, Daisha is my kid's name.
Uh-huh.
Her biological dad was still in the picture. And if they were to have moved, that would have probably caused a bit of a rift because
Sure.
it would be me taking.
Okay, so let's
His
say
kid away.
that roadblock's not there.
Yeah.
Did you have teams you were thinking about?
Yeah. I was gonna go and try out for a team in Seattle.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Way different life.
Yeah,
dude.
way completely different. Being on the coast, playing for a different team, whole different life. Yeah.
I mean, are you now running around Mount Hood
Right.
and Mount Rainier? Because they're both awesome. I don't know how much time you've spent up there.
Yeah. So I actually have spent a good amount of time in Seattle. I've spent a good amount of time running in Seattle. I've done a couple races over there. I've never done the Mount Hood one though, but I don't know if I could live in Seattle now that I've been back. I don't know. It's a beautiful place. The people were great. The food there is amazing.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I just don't know. I think that I would need to be more in the mountains.
Well, you would have that option there because you'd have Mount Rainier.
Yeah.
Like we always went up and competed every year in that area. So we had our North American championships were in Enumclaw. So about an hour outside of Seattle.
Yeah. Okay.
And you start getting out. I mean, you had 45 minutes like out of SeaTac where the airport is.
Yeah.
You can disappear a bit.
Yeah.
The Pacific Northwoods could be my favorite woods.
Oh yeah. Aren't
May
they
not be
cool?
my favorite landscape.
Oh man, the
But
woods.
man, the woods there, because it's so dense and so
Ferns.
thick, and it's so quiet because there's so much sound absorption.
Yes, and the redwoods.
Yeah, it's not my favorite environment.
Yeah,
But it may be my favorite woods. But like, man, aspen trees are rad too.
Yeah.
Like that whole vibe that you run into places with aspens, or I don't know, man, Earth is real cool.
it's way cool, especially in that area. I ran this place. I think it was in Seattle. It was called Discovery Park, and it's this beautiful area that's right in the middle of the city. But it's this lush forest of ferns and some redwoods and a ton of cedars. And man, you just feel like you're in a rainforest. And for a minute,
Well,
forget,
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, Olympia up in Washington is a rainforest.
Yeah. Yeah. But you forget you're in the middle of a city. You're just in this small little pocket of forest. And man, I fell in love with Discovery Park. I fell in love with running in that area because I could be in the middle of a city in 5 minutes if I wanted to. But if I want to be in the middle of a rainforest, I'm there.
We were so part of our
special.
road trip this summer. We were on that 8 weeks that we saw you guys
Yeah,
and
yeah,
made our
yeah.
way out to the coast.
Yeah.
We have a friend up there, Ashton, who was in she's outside of Portland.
Okay.
So we went sailing with her. So this is like a thing I don't fucking know anything about. We boat stuff in Louisiana, but sailing ain't exactly.
Completely different, man.
No, man.
So
Wasn't a lot
different.
of sailing in my background. It's aluminum boats. And
You didn't
catching
sail in
bass. No,
Louisiana?
man, no, we're in marsh. You talk about airboats. I'm into that game, but sailing, I don't know shit about. But yeah, we went sailing with her and her husband at the time out on Puget Sound.
Okay.
And it was super fucking cool.
It's a rush.
Dude, and then like seeing Mount Rainier the whole time that we're out there, like that thing's such a big bastard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so big and so looming that you just never quite get closer or further away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
It's
that
just
big.
so big. Right.
Yeah.
It's like the moon.
Yeah.
Right. Like me driving to Montana doesn't put me any closer to the moon as far as the moon cares. It's like,
Sure.
cool. 1,000 miles. Thanks, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really, really cool area up there.
Yeah. It's pretty special. We go there once a year. My kid has a gymnastics meet there. They do a big meet in Seattle, and it's always nice to just kind of go back. And every time I do go back, I'll drive by the arena where that team plays, and I always look over at it. Sometimes I'll do a little double take, think about it for a second, and I'm just grateful that didn't happen.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
It just I'm grateful for the life that I'm in right now.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But that's not the fun of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like for me, it's had I decided to play football, if I would have gone that route out of high school, like that's a major right or left turn.
Mm-hmm.
That one's probably the biggest because then that doesn't put me at LSU. That doesn't put me doing track. That doesn't have me do the Highland Games. That doesn't have me do any of these things.
Maybe
like,
even being right here.
of course.
Yeah.
None of this,
Yeah.
at least not in the current manifestation, comes from without the Highland Games thing.
Right.
May I be podcasting? Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
It's possible. Anything is. But I mean, you know, if I don't get out of the South I definitely don't leave the oil and gas industry if I don't, and nothing wrong with that, but I know what that life looks like.
Yep.
I have a pretty good idea.
Yep.
It's a couple weeks vacation. It's doing the same stuff as we grew up doing.
Yep.
That one's the big turn for me.
What year was this?
Oh man, that would have been like 2001.
Okay.
Like high school.
Okay. What was the catalyst at that time that made you go the other way?
He was actually having a high school coach, Coach Pat Riley.
Pat Riley sounds
Pat
like a high
Riley.
school coach.
Was one of the baseball coaches, and then was a head coach for baseball, but then was our football coach for, I think he worked with like quarterbacks or receivers. So I'm not even sure why he was talking to me. Why
he saw something in you.
But yeah, needless to say, yeah, I'm having success playing football, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Getting recruited by a couple small schools.
Yep.
And he had said something about like I just didn't have a great game or something like that. Just felt like I kind of phoned it in.
Yep.
And he's like, with getting recruited, they're watching you. You got to make sure you're blah, 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 blah. Typical high school coach stuff. And he's looking out for me. He doesn't mean anything shitty by any of this. His intentions are nothing but great. But you're a high school kid.
Yeah.
So you're just getting chewed out.
Yeah.
Right. And he, I guess, sees the look in my eyes and he's like, hey, you know that you don't have to play college football. Like, you don't have to do that. And at that point, I had never thought that I didn't have to do that. Like, that was just what's in the cards. That's what you do after high school.
You go and play
You go play college football.
somewhere else.
Somewhere
Yeah,
else,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
School's paid for.
Yeah.
This is what gets you to school. And then you get a job.
Yeah.
I'm really glad none of that worked out.
Man.
But that would have been an interesting right or left turn.
Let me ask you this.
My brother not getting into strongman before me changes things because I followed him into strength sports. And so
Okay.
like if he wouldn't have been as physically active or had those type of things, I definitely wouldn't have leaned further into this thing. I would have never found the thing that I did better than anyone else on the planet.
Yeah. Highland.
Yep.
You told me a little bit about you and your brother being able to travel together and to do that. And I think about like over the course of my life, I've never had a time of my life where I've been able to do that with my brother. And when you told me that, like, had my mind reeling, like, man, I still have time to do that. I still have a way to do that. And since you and I talked about that, I've been thinking about my brother and like a way that him and I could do something like that together. Like it really inspired me because my brother and I are also 5 years apart, just like you and yours.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of similarities there. So it's been on my mind since we discussed that.
In my opinion, 5 years is a really sweet age gap.
Tell me why. Because I've always seen it as like too much.
So for me, Andy's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Like great grades, like 4.0 student.
Yeah.
Was All-American in football, like married his high school sweetheart.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been a lot to be in high school with Andy as
Yeah.
a freshman if he was a senior.
Yeah. I
It
get
would have also sucked to be a senior while he was a senior.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm glad that he didn't exist at my high school while I existed in high school.
That's a good point.
There was some ghost of him because we're in a small enough town.
Yep.
Like I definitely know people know who I am because I was Andy Vincent's brother.
Got it.
Right. But being in high school with him would have really fucking been tough for me.
Yeah.
I think that could have really fucked me up in a lot of ways. I
Gotcha.
don't think I would have been able to navigate those waters very well at that age.
Mm-hmm. When it came time for like you guys to kind of have your time together, were you as close at that point? You were.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we've always been close.
That's cool.
We never really fought or did any of that. Typical brothership, but like it never came to blows. We've always been pretty close and actually just got to enjoyed each other a lot growing up. I mean, played video games together and hung out a lot. I mean, he had friends that, of course, are older than me.
Yeah.
Hung out a lot less by the time he was in high school. Why would you fucking hang out with 12-year-old me or a 10-year-old me for that matter? Yeah, if you're 15 and I'm 10, come on.
Yeah.
There's other things you're interested in.
And that's kind of where I was with my brother too, is like at that time it was like a bigger gap.
Like, I don't even want to hang out with a 25-year-old me now.
Right. Yeah.
So 10-year, I definitely don't want to talk to 10-year-old me.
I don't have that energy anymore.
No, dude, no fucking way. And so, but by the time he got in college and I was in high school, we got really close.
Okay.
And then just that continued, because then after I did the bike shop thing and that went trashed, I went into the petrochemical industry. He helped get me a job. And then I moved from that job to working for a company that he was also working for. Mm-hmm. And then he left that company to go work for a bigger company, and I left to go work for a different company. And then we had an opening at some point for a sales guy. So I got him on as my boss.
Got it. Okay.
And it was great. Like, we got to talk to each other, and we both do our jobs. So none of that's ever weird. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, eventually they let me go because, I wasn't doing my job very well.
Okay. And that's when you started doing.
So we're both doing Highland games.
Got it.
Like, so that ended.
Okay.
So that job and life ended in 2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was not that long
ago. I've had
ago.
hate since 14.
Yep.
And so I had 3 years with still doing the real job thing and traveling. And so I didn't retire from Highland Games until 2016.
Got it. Okay.
I'm
putting
so he
timelines
competed
together.
until 18 or 19. So he competed longer than me.
Got it.
Like, that's one of those other things that I'm just curious about, right? Like, why genetically we're got to be pretty similar.
Yeah, right.
Relatively speaking. He's just never had a major injury.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm going to say, well, he didn't train as hard. Like, it's fucking horseshit. I know he did. I know he's got it.
Yeah.
Why is his system so much more robust
So different
than mine, right? Like, I got this grain of sand in one joint. I basically had to fucking blow it apart.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
Or like Keaton's friend, right? Halote?
Yeah.
12 years in the NFL. Like, and nothing's fucked up.
Yeah. That's unheard of.
Incredible.
I mean, you get guys after like a few practices that are, now going to be on a different list than the active roster.
Meanwhile, Rob and I are getting beat up by apparel. Right? Like, this guy's 12 years in the NFL and we're both.
Man, that's crazy. I think about like over my athletic career, and I've been blessed to have done a lot of different activities, but really only had maybe one or two major issues structurally. After everything I've been through, I feel really blessed about that, man. And yeah, I guess I don't know what it is. Maybe it's attributed to my prioritizing my mobility work, my flexibility work, because that's something I've always been on top of throughout the course of my life.
So through football, through everything.
Yeah. That was like the one thing that I always kept up on was my flexibility and mobility work, for sure.
Was there any main influence that kind of triggered that? As like, this is something I should pay more attention to?
So especially like when I was about 15, I first got introduced to the gym and fitness and stuff when I was 14. But when I was 15, I really started taking it more seriously. And my first athletic pursuit that I would say was actually real was bull riding. I rode bulls for a lot of years, but bull riding is a really dynamic sport. If you've ever seen it,
it's a car crash.
It's a car crash dance kind of thing that's 8 to 10 seconds long. If you're lucky. Yeah, on a car. And the car is pissed off.
If I strap you to the roof of the El Camino, it's far safer.
Yes.
Than that bull. Because that thing's really not going to get away from you 100%. Too much right now.
And it is so violent and thrashing. And what I was seeing a lot of was at the time, a lot of the bull riders, like they would just kind of party and then go ride bulls, and they'd get hurt, and then their recovery times would just be long. And so what I was thinking is, well, what if I inject this fitness component into bull riding? How would that make me as an athlete? Would I be more resilient? And sure enough, man, the more that I rode, the more that I focused on my fitness, my flexibility, my mobility work, it made me a better athlete. It made me a better rider. It made me more successful. I made more money doing it, but I also thwarted injury.
And like as an athlete, like it seems like a no-brainer to me.
It seems like it.
But why do you think the additional mobility led to your improved athleticism.
Well, I think that when you have better mobility, you have better range of motion and you have better overall movement patterns. Like you're able to just move freer. And I think that a lot of injuries in sport just come from a lack of range of motion. You know, if I have the ability to pull a muscle 2 inches, but I'm in my sport moving and it moves 4 inches, there's an injury. So
the trick with that, right, is strength training typically creates less range of motion.
Sure. Right. I mean, and that's what the majority of athletes do. They train to, build bigger muscles and get stronger and all that, but they never take the time to open their body back up after that. And so I think that was like my first influence at an early age, was just realizing that so many people are getting hurt because they're not doing this stuff. And it seems like simple math, but
right.
Yeah.
So like recently doing Q&As and stuff like that, I've gotten a question on a pretty regular basis now for like the last 3 or 4 I get. And it's like, do you recommend yoga? And like, I just look at that question and I'm like, well, who doesn't?
Well, I mean,
are there a bunch of people out there that are just like, fuck yoga?
They've been doing yoga for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, right?
Like hot yoga is even better.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best, man. And you'll see nowadays that people that compete in non-traditional sports like rodeo, like Ninja Warrior and stuff, they put a premium on the mobility stuff, on yoga, on things like that, because that's ultimately what's going to keep you the healthiest.
I'm kind of planning on, as this continues and I'm adding more to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm interested in also, if I'm going to do the training, like I want to be all in on it.
Yes.
Like I want to give a shit about the nutrition part,
Yes.
despite that. The time on the run's not that much. I could go do it right now.
Yeah.
The issue for me is more the pounding the knee and hip will take
Yep.
during that time than the cardiovascular or fueling it will be. The last 2 hours are going to be tough because that's what happens to me on bike. I know at hour 4.5 on bike rides, I run into trouble.
Yep.
And so at least I know what that looks like.
Yep. You've been there before, right?
Yep. We need food.
Yep.
And we need to get food way earlier than when you've decided we need food.
Yep, exactly. Structure it, space it out evenly over that full length of time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just don't hydrate smart enough on bike rides because I can't carry enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't keep up with, I'm too big.
Yeah.
And so I just need to figure out a better plan. Like I know at least there's aid stations on the run. And so I'm going to fill up every time I get a chance.
There's 8 of them.
Right. There's a
Plenty.
ton.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's what, every 3 miles,
Something like that. Yeah.
give or take.
Yeah. Every 5K or so.
Yeah. And so that'll be rewater, probably hydration tab or something there in my water.
Yeah.
And I think my little run pack will have like a 2 liter on it.
Yep.
And then I'll probably, I don't know that I'll run with a hip pack with 2 bottles, but I don't think I need both.
Yeah, I think over a 20-mile distance, you probably would just want to stick with one system. I think it's once you get to those longer distances where like you kind of just
I don't need to carry 12 pounds of water on me for the run.
You don't. And sometimes like I think I switched on that 100-miler. I think I switched at mile 40. I went to the hip pack, right?
Yeah.
Or the hand packs the hand packs. Just for a different feel. I was tired of putting stuff on my back, you know what I mean? But at those smaller distance, man, I think you'd be all right.
Yeah. And so like I'm thinking about kind of once I get to week 5, like, so I've got a planned deload on week 5. That's always worked really well for me physically is 4 on, 1 off.
Okay.
And that 1 off will be less.
Recovery, right? Like
less.
Yeah. Zone 1 kind of stuff.
I'm going to walk. I'll probably do 5 1-hour sessions of just walking.
Perfect.
Except for I'll force myself to go do it in the park or in the Katy Trail if it's dry and not gross out.
Yep.
No excuse.
Yep.
Go out there and do it. And so that'll be cool. And that'll give me time. I can listen to audiobooks. It's great. It's not like that time's a bummer ever.
No.
It's just a matter of getting it. I've never done that. And then afterwards been like, that was a fucking waste. Like I've never felt that way, right? Yet, why do I always have to argue with myself to go do it?
I know, man.
We
forget sometimes of like how good it feels.
That's the beauty for me of like what 5 a.m. is.
Yeah.
I don't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
Nothing's open. I can't send emails.
Yeah.
It's free time.
Yep.
It's free time that I can be selfish with. And that's something I've learned from other high performers, whether that's Rob is a great example that he gets it done in the morning first thing.
Yeah.
Gunnar Peterson, a buddy of mine who's a personal trainer out in LA, like he's at the gym at 4 to do his thing because he takes care of him first. And I think that matters with people like that, right? Like it's the same rule as you put the airbag on yourself before you take care of the passenger next to you.
Yeah. That's
So
a
if
good
you're
point.
not sorting you out first for the day, how are you going to contribute?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because you've got to be able to operate at a high level before you help others do that, right?
You have to.
Yeah.
Like if your shit's not sorted, you're a liability.
And then you just get whatever leftover energy you have at the end of the day after helping everybody else. That's a trap.
Yeah. And
That's
man,
a
if
trap.
I can talk myself into do that thing,
Yeah.
what else can I do?
Yeah. Exactly.
What else can I do, man? Like,
Yeah.
and that's another one. I was marinating on quite a bit by the time we went out for the run, and I thought about it a lot with you, and I don't remember how much we actually covered it.
Okay.
I'm interested. Like one of the things, I hear with lifters or any of that by the time they retire, is there's always this feeling, and that's athletes in general, right? That there's something left on the table. Like,
Yeah.
what do you feel you should have done with football X, Y, or Z, right?
Yeah.
What level could you have played at? Whereas the answer is you wanted to play professional football.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
You got paid to play that sport.
Yeah.
You're not Tom Brady, right? But
Yes.
that doesn't mean you didn't play professional football.
Right.
And so for me, that type of a metric is like with lifting or throwing, right? The reason I got into track and field at the basest level possible was how far can I throw a shot put? I want to know. I found out. I throw a shot put 57'10". I can throw a rock 63'4", or 63'2".
Okay.
Tied the world record. So I know those numbers. And for me to be like, I could have done better, I didn't. It's not I could have. I did that. That is what I did. That's what all the training, that's what all the focus. And I'm not lying to myself because, man, I fucking gave it everything.
Yeah.
I didn't leave a bunch on the table.
Yeah.
I know that was where I burned. And if anything I left on the table, I did that making the best educated choice I could at the time for longevity.
Sure.
And so, I could have trained harder. Like, I trained until look, I'm here. I gave it hell.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And so because I found those things, like I know how strong this body is as far as a squat. It squats 675. That's the strongest it'll ever
That's
be.
a lot of
right?
weight.
You know how far you can run.
Yeah.
You have a fucking number.
I hit that limit. Yeah, I hit that limit. And that limit was purely physical, which is what inspires me so much, is that I've literally ran till my body collapsed.
I'm fascinated.
Yeah. And it collapsed. And then I ran another 6 miles after that. And that was, I think was the real limit. I was in a really good place at mile 65 mentally.
So 5 miles after that final check with us.
Yep. I was good. I was good at mile 65.
So you're probably an hour after you saw us.
Somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little bit longer.
Okay.
But anyhow, at mile 65, I was feeling really good. My feet had pretty much swollen solid. I wasn't getting any flexion or extension out of my ankles. They were clubs, and every step was just solid. My low back and hamstrings were seizing.
Now, are they
time.
painful every step, or are they just solid?
No, they're just solid.
Okay.
Yeah, just solid and heavy.
Yep. Yeah, you know what they're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. But what was painful was my low back and hamstrings. So every time I would take a step, they would seize. It'd be like when the power dot hits you like on full blast or something, right? So that's kind of what it would feel like.
It's not a tough it out.
No. It was just kind of like
it's mechanical failure.
Yeah. But mentally, I was able to compartmentalize that pain and still be good with where I was in the race, and just knowing that I just got to keep going. But I did come to a point at mile 65 where my body just collapsed. It said, "We're done here. We're done." So I kind of like drug myself over to the side of the trail
to let all these fast people go by. I'm sure at that point in the night, like, I love that you're still conscious about like, let me move 2 feet out of the way as if
we're not in the middle of the desert.
Right? Like as if there's nowhere to fucking go.
Yeah. So I pulled myself over, and I'm like having this conversation with myself, and I'm trying to get my body back on board, and I like pull myself up on top of this rock and like push myself off this rock and get back to my feet, because I realized in this moment at mile 65, when nothing is working physically, that I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's pitch black. There's nobody around me.
Yeah, you don't have a phone call to make.
And at this point, half of the people that started the race have already
finished or DNF'd or whatever it is.
They've already stopped. So there's 50 people out in the middle of this desert, and I'm 6 miles from the nearest person. And if I'm going to be able to,
at that point, do you calculate how far back to the other one?
I did.
Yeah.
But I'm not going backwards.
Fair enough.
I'm not going back. So I get my body back on board. I push myself up off this rock and I get through the next 6 miles. And it was even more pain that I had to compartmentalize than the previous miles. But it was just really cool knowing that I think that I pretty much pushed myself until I couldn't go anymore.
No, that to me is what I'm fascinated by.
Yeah.
Because it's that metric. Now you're a runner.
Yeah.
And one of the metrics, how fast can you run?
Right.
How fast can you run a mile? Like you've got a lot of metrics to figure out. What's your 5K time? What's a 10K? What's all these things?
Yes.
But one of those metrics is max distance.
And I think I found it.
And even that's weird too, because now there's so many variables. That's max distance in the desert on that day.
Sure. On that day.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like what's the max distance you could sit there and probably plow out there on the True Form runner?
Yeah.
If I just kept feeding you snacks and foods,
Sure.
like who fucking knows,
I'd
right?
be there all week.
But you found that mentally you can go until the machine stops.
Yes.
It's not a toughness thing at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a really cool thing for me because I think that throughout the course of my life, I've been in a lot of those situations where I've pushed myself to the point of trying to figure out what I'm capable of. And every time that I do, it gives me a little bit more of a push to go and try it somewhere else or to try it more in depth. And being in that situation at mile 71 and just knowing that I'm now physically incapable of finishing this race, it sucked in the moment. And you remember that.
So that mile 65 is when it hit you that like, oh, we're not going to make it.
No, actually I was actually like, okay, I just need to get my body back on board. When I got to mile 71, I was at the aid station.
Right.
And when I sat down at the aid station and was eating some top ramen and everything, and I went to get back up, I couldn't move. Oh. And I was only in that chair for a couple of minutes waiting and eating that top ramen.
Just everything had ceased.
But I could not stand for anything. Like I was trying to push myself out of the chair. My arms worked, but like I couldn't put any weight into my legs.
What a weird feeling.
It was very weird. It was like I was like cemented in concrete. And it was really disheartening at the time.
Well, there's a weird disconnect because like just stand up.
Yeah, right? Like you
move your little
up 1,000 times
right?
over the course of the past couple of days leading up to this moment. Why can't you do it right now? But there's just something about running those kinds of distances and putting yourselves in those situations to just be in complete pain and suffering that is so peaceful. And that's something that I took from that is being in those moments of suffering. It was one of the most enjoyable moments of my entire life.
So one of those big concepts of gratitude for me that has always helped with training or any of those type of mental games that I end up having to play with myself is how fortunate we are to be the only time in human existence that we get to pick the stress we want to adapt to.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Like you got the time to go do this.
Yeah.
What other decade or what other century of human existence did someone get on a plane and fly with their friends to another place they don't live to just see how far our buddy can run?
Yeah. Right.
Right. Like
it's a pretty special
thing. It's a fucking great thing.
Yeah.
And we found out.
Yep.
That to me, because, if you come cruising in at mile 100, we still got weird stuff to figure out then. Like, oh, fuck, what are we, 125?
Yeah. Like what's next?
Right. But now you've got a really interesting training bit because you've got the mental game.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think, part of what kind of surprised me too, was the fact that mentally I felt so good. Even at mile 65, when I collapsed, even at mile 71, before I stood up, I was great.
Well, because this was suffering.
Yeah.
And you don't have to hear it anymore. Like I can go somewhere else upstairs. Like,
yeah. But even after that race and not finishing and knowing that I was so mentally strong up until the point that I DNF'd, I just always think now, like, okay, well, what's next now? Like, where else can I use this in my life to my benefit? Like, where else can I? Is it running? Is it another area of my life? Is it where else? Because I know this mental piece is in the right place. It's not perfect, but I know that it's on the right track. So how can I keep honing this skill? And I think that, like, again, we talked about running being such a mental game. It just puts you in so many different scenarios where you have to figure out the mental piece of it, or you're not going to survive. And that's what I love about running.
And I mean, for me, this is definitely just building the engine up to be able to do endurance stuff. I'm hoping it unlocks more adventures.
It will, little by little.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I've definitely got some interesting stuff I would love to do in my existence.
Yes.
One of which being, I want to ride the Colorado Trail.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
500 miles.
Yep.
I don't care about time. Once I have a Sprinter van built and all that.
Yeah.
Me and Bonnie will go.
Just get it done.
I don't care how long it takes. It can take fucking 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, she'll cruise and be at camp, and I'll hang out. And if I want to take a day off, I'll take a fucking day off. But I want to ride those 500 miles.
Will she do it with you?
She won't ride.
Yeah.
No. I think we're a long way from that being a reality. Bikes are not her thing, and that's totally fine
Fair,
too.
Man.
But that 500 miles does like 94,000 feet of elevation.
Oh, that's it? It's just 94,000 feet?
Gross.
Holy cow.
Man, there's a cyclist I'm into that does these gnarly rides. That's Lachlan Morton.
Okay.
I had him on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that... I'm trying to remember if I listened to that episode or not. Did you tell me to...
Maybe.
Yeah. I think
he's
I
an
listened
interesting
to that.
guy who does big endurance events.
Yes, I did listen to that podcast. That was good.
Like one of the rides he did is this thing called the GB Duro.
Okay.
And he rides across Great Britain.
Yeah.
It's like 700 kilometers. And it's for time. And he just didn't stop.
Whoa.
It was like 38 hours or some shit like that.
Oh my gosh.
Just cruising.
That's insane.
And like got there way earlier than they hadn't moved to the end of the race yet to be ready to accept anyone by the time he got there.
Oh geez.
And so like gets there into the town where the finish line is and no one's there. So it's like trying to find a hotel. And like you can just see how pissed he is. At like some point, like no vacancy. And also it's like at a weird time.
Yeah.
And so at some point you can see him just throw his bike on the ground and like walk away like just trashed.
Yeah.
And that guy's got access to another thing. And I'm interested.
Whole nother gear there.
Right. And so another theory I like about the endurance stuff that I'm interested in, and like the only real endurance stuff I've done, like I did that 220 miles of the HVIII Trail on the mountain bike and slept on the ground every night. It's a supported trip, but
220 miles is 220.
And it's through the desert. It was summer. Like it's hot.
Yeah.
It was awful. That was 6 months on a fake knee.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great. It was great, man. I loved it. I loved how tired I was at the end of the day. I liked the sleep I got. I liked the time I had on the bike by myself.
Yes.
They're so long, even that we had a group of 12. If it's a 43-mile ride, we spread out because I'm riding at my pace. And also I'm a maniac. And so I'm going to hammer harder than I'm supposed to until I don't. So, all right. So based on that race day strategy.
Yeah.
I've got a theory of what I'd like to do.
Okay. I'm listening.
I'm concerned that I come out the gate hot, excited.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
Yep.
Trained for it.
Super common.
Yep. And then I trash it in the first 2 hours.
Yep.
And I just went too hard. And then my knee and hip go bad, not my lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I can't walk it. So I'm going to walk for the first 30 minutes out of the gate. I'm going to hold pace. I'm going to walk. I'm going to listen to something on my headphones and enjoy being there. And then once it spreads out a little bit, and then at 30 minutes, I know I'm warm. Look, I'm not going for a 2-mile run before this thing to get loose.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to stretch and warm up and be fine. I'll warm up in those 7 hours. I'll be just fine. I'm not going for time.
Yeah.
I can roll out of bed, throw on shoes and start.
Yeah.
So walk for that 30 minutes. Walk at a good pace, but walk.
Yep.
and then run.
Perfect.
You know, and so I think once I start getting into my longer days, like that's how I'm going to treat it. Like I'll come in and treat that first 30 minutes as a warm up.
That's a good way to do it. Absolutely. And there are some times too that I think as you get closer to the race, that doing some of those back-to-back runs where, let's say Saturday you do the long one, go at that tempo for the first half hour or so, and then come back Sunday, do the same thing. Those back-to-back long runs will really help to kind of build up your endurance for the race day.
Now we're going to go out and do a little bit of a run and then a bike ride for some funsies.
Yep.
So we've got the Katy Trail here. And so it's an old paved rail system.
Okay.
Flat.
Okay.
We could knock out 200 miles on this thing at about 200 feet of elevation.
Okay.
It's awesome. It's as long as you want it to be. Not the most scenic, but still pretty cool. It ends up being just kind of covered, and you get some rad stuff of the river and some things like that.
Okay.
It's a great spot for me to train.
Okay.
I don't have anywhere to really push elevation here, but there's hills if I want to go find them.
Okay.
I don't know how much I'm worried about the elevation thing. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that you have to have some kind of element. If you can find hills, you've got to have some kind of elevation training. The problem with it is it's not always your legs that are going to feel the difference, but it's the lungs. So how do you build the lung capacity for the elevation when you don't have hills? There's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but one of the biggest ways that I've found it is when you're like, if you live in a city, you could go to a parking garage,
Stairs.
and you can hit those stairs in the parking garage.
I could buy a step mill.
You could buy a step mill.
Gross. Because then I have a step mill to use.
Right.
Fuck those things.
Right. So there's ways to do it. But I think it's an important element to your training that you should have in there, even if it's just a little bit. But the parking garages are always a good place to go. Some rucksacking is also another good way to build that cardiovascular stamina. But if we're looking at it like,
I've got a good ruck.
Yeah. So a good rucksack would be great. I think another way you could do it is including some tempo training into your workouts as well. Tempo stuff is something that I've found to be really effective for building cardiovascular endurance, so that when those elevation sections come in, you have that extra gear to shift into.
So, and what type of tempo would we be talking about? So like, are we doing mile on, mile off, or am I doing minute on, minute off?
So depends on your race distance. Because you're doing the 20-mile section, I would say anywhere from like 2 to 4 minutes would be plenty. But if you're somebody that's doing a longer distance, I would typically go in 10 to 15 minute blocks of tempo. And in that block of tempo training, you're really trying to keep a specific heart rate or zone based on, whatever style training that you're following. I follow zones, so I try to stay.
That's what I'm following heart rate and time.
Yep.
Currently.
Yep.
So my first 2 weeks were simply go do an hour a day, 5 days a week, whatever.
Yep.
Just build the habit. It's the same way that I'd recommend if you, hey, I want to strength train. What do you recommend? I recommend you go to the gym for an hour a day, 4 days a week for a month, until you prove to me that you'll go to the gym.
Yep.
Because if I can't get you in the door, the program doesn't matter.
You're not going to follow anything I put together for you.
Yeah. And I'd rather not waste my time on my friend who needs a program who's not going to follow it.
I've heard that 1,000 times too.
Of course you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as of right now, like I can do the hour, no problem, but I can't currently run a straight mile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to run for a bit. I'm going to walk for a bit, but I haven't gone and done a straight mile. So also during this, maybe during my deload week, I may test my mile time. Be a fun day.
Yep.
Maybe take 10 or 12 minutes would be cool.
Yep.
I'd like to know.
Yep. How far can you currently go before you have to stop and walk?
It varies.
Okay.
It could vary on that section of like, for whatever reason, my hip just got shitty.
Got it.
And if it doesn't feel like it kind of works itself out in 30 seconds or a minute, I know that I can stop and let it cool down.
Got it.
And then I'm good again.
Okay.
But if I cook it too hard to prove a point, I can't cool it down.
So how are you going to make sure that you don't start too hard?
I'm going to walk for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I'm going to maintain that.
You going to be strict with that 30-minute mark?
Yeah, give or take.
Okay. The reason I ask is because
it ain't going to turn into 5.
Yeah.
It may turn into 24.
Sure. But whenever you feel like,
Yeah. I'll know when
gotcha.
I'm warm.
yeah,
And I know when things spread out enough. I know when emotionally I can do my thing and not be affected by the group.
yeah,
And
That's
even if
fair.
there's a group, right? I don't even have any concept of what the start will be for this. So it all, I mean, I know they're not sending us out alone. Like,
Yeah.
Matt, it's your time. And I sprint out of the gate. Like, I don't
I think there
that's how
should be
they
like
do it.
small waves, probably
Yeah.
like 10, 15 people waves.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'll take off walking until I'll definitely walk for long enough.
Yeah.
Like maybe even walk my first mile,
That's cool.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I got to maintain a 2.67 mile an hour pace for 17 miles.
Yep.
So as long as my watch reads anything above that pace,
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah. Something else I would also encourage you with too is when it comes to not blowing it too early on in the race is something that was taught to me by my coach. And that is that the way that you train for your race is different from how the person next to you trained for their race. Nobody trained the way you did. And so a lot of runners at any distance get caught up in trying to run somebody else's race. They see somebody coming by them and they immediately think that they're racing against them.
Right.
They're not racing against them.
Oh,
You're-
dude, look, the same deal with Highland Games, right? I'm not really throwing against you.
yeah.
Your throw
right.
doesn't hold any bearing on what happens
Yes.
to me once I get in the ring.
Yes. Yep. None at all.
So I'm going to throw as far as I can, and then the cards are going to fall.
Exactly.
So I know that I've got a bunch of good tools already.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a novice going into his first competition, right?
Yeah.
I've got 200 plus competitions in various forms under my belt.
Yep.
So we're good there.
Yep. Good.
Yeah. That I won't let be an issue. Plus my intentions of the run, I don't have expectations. My intention is I want to go and finish it and enjoy it.
Yes. And that's it.
That's it. I want to do the 15 weeks of training for this will be very hard for me to make sure by week. I think I basically have a deload like week 14 and then week 15 is the run. And so like week 13, I think I wrote it down and we'll go over all this and take a better look at what my plan is.
I'd love to.
Yeah, I'd love to as well. Make a video about it and let's break it down in that way. It's a better shot than me putting in the dark based on linear periodization that I know from everything else, right?
Sure.
I'm happy to dial it in a bit more.
Yeah.
And I want to learn more. And so I think by that week, I think I've got like 2 5-hour days that week is my last hard week.
Cool.
Is like 2 5-hour days.
Cool.
And then maybe 2 or 3 3-hour days.
Perfect.
That's kind of my thought. And I'll probably end up doing most of that on the bike.
Okay.
I may pick one of those to do a 5-hour on foot.
Yep.
And then the other will be on the bike just to save my hip and knee.
Yep. That makes sense. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to start, man. I think that's going to be a great first run for
Not
you.
a total idiot.
Hey man, I'm really excited for you. I'm excited to see you with the experience you have, the mindset you have, but in a completely new arena.
It's gonna be really challenging because I'm bad at this. And like, not only am I bad at it, I'm never gonna be good.
Yeah.
Right? Like the barrier of entry to be a good runner, I'm missing out on a few key components. I'm too old. I'm too old to start becoming a good runner. I'm also big, and I'm naturally big.
Yep.
I mean, like I was 270 pounds when I graduated high school.
Yeah.
Me gaining weight is very good.
Yeah.
I can do that very,
Easy,
very well,
right?
right? I also have a fake knee, and I got a hip that's pretty compromised. So I've got some challenges,
Yeah.
but I can still do it.
Yeah.
And all I care about, like even in weeks 1 to now week 3, the run is so much better. I really expected by this point that I'd want to be on the bike more, and I haven't been picking the bike.
That's
I
awesome.
forced myself to bike yesterday.
How was it?
It's fine.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool.
There's a big difference for me on the bike, though. The bike will be better training for me because I can hold a pace.
Okay.
I can't hold a pace running because I stop and slow down. So my heart rate on the run is basically going from, as soon as my heart rate goes down to 110,
Yeah.
120, it's time to run again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I'm measuring it. It's that in pain. But also, I'm not trying to get into 160s. I'm trying to stay tapping 150. I can stay there and cruise.
Perfect.
I know based on the bike rides I did out in Arizona when we did that ride, I know I can hold 6 hours at 148 beats a minute average. So I know that engine exists.
Yep.
And my engine's gotten better since then.
Yeah.
So cool. The big component's going to be the beat down on my body. So me learning to run better, me learning to run more efficiently. Shoes are going to be a big factor. So I'm kind of trying out shoes currently.
What are you running in right now?
So I've got 3 that I've rotated in the last week.
Okay.
I have a pair of Vans Ultra Runners or whatever they are. They're Vans running shoe.
Okay. I didn't know they made a running shoe.
I like them. I'll show them to you.
Okay.
We'll do a shoe video.
Okay.
Well, why not?
Okay.
I've got a pair of Nike Trail Horse.
Yep.
I picked up. I like.
Yep.
And then I picked up a pair of Nike Trail like Pegasus.
Oh yeah.
And I just picked up those. I like those. I also have a pair of No Bulls, like the knit ones. I ran in those today. They're fine. I don't honestly notice much difference in any of the shoes yet.
Interesting. Okay.
But I'm at an hour. I know I don't.
Yeah. That's true.
I don't know how they feel at hour 5,
Yeah.
right? That's a mystery. I'm only
Yeah.
guessing. So I need to know what they feel like at hour 5.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
But I imagine in the next week or two, I'll start reaching for one pair more than another.
Yep. As they start to like kind of fit your foot a little bit better, you'll find which ones that you just feel better in.
Well, it's one of those things, right? Like, because I'm not invested in having to wear one of these pair of shoes. If I have all the options, at some point I'm going to reach for something not based on how it matches my pants,
Sure.
which does still matter.
Yeah.
I'm totally that asshole.
Yeah.
I'll buy 3 pair of the same shoe. They won't be any fancy shoes, but they'll have variety.
Yeah.
You're right. But that gives me, I know at some point, like I'll pick one naturally, right? Like the instinct will be like, those are the shoes we wear. And that'll be the shoes. And then at that point, I'll probably buy a second pair of them.
Yep.
And then run in both.
Yeah. And that's what I did when we went down to Arizona. I had the same pair of shoes, bought the same pair just in case. I put miles on both of them just in case, but I think it's important for sure.
And again, I'm aware that the distance doesn't need me to treat this like an ultra.
Yep.
But part of the fun for me is going full kook.
Yep.
And diving in and being an idiot. Like that's part of the fun. I love that side of it too.
Absolutely.
Like with cycling, like I like the gear purchases and all that just as much.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm about to pee my pants.
Oh man, go for it. Go for it. Yeah. No, don't even worry about it, dude.
I've been holding it this whole time.
No, man, don't even worry about it. I can always talk to Brant. Sorry about that, man.
No, don't apologize. I apologize.
I guess we should probably preference that. Like if you got to pee,
Yeah, you're
allowed
as a
to,
guest,
you're allowed to pee.
You don't have to try to ride this thing out like I can.
Well, see, I told you I like to suffer. Right?
I understand. Yeah. That's not any fun.
So in my head, I'm like, you know what? I've been here before. I know
stop talking.
I know
No,
what
he
this
won't.
feeling's like.
It's like I can hold it.
I can hold it. I'm tough. No, thank you. No, I feel better now.
No, of course, right? Yeah, we're almost a little over 2 hours in.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good space, right?
Oh man, that went by so fast.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude, there's something about this room. Like, there's no concept of time.
Zero.
It's like a fucking casino.
It's
in
so
Vegas,
silent.
right? Oh, the sound deadening's wild. Like, you make
Yeah.
phone calls in here to someone, and they're like, "What speakers are you using?" Like, they're just amazed.
Oh man, I love that. Man, I'm so excited for you to run this race.
Yeah,
I
man.
just-
I'm really excited for the experience, dude.
You are going to do so well.
I'm excited to share the experience too with my buddies, and
Yeah.
then like I get to do
Yeah.
my lap.
Yeah.
And so at 50, so are you doing 3?
So it's going to be
Like 46 miles?
well. I think the way that they're going to do this is I'm going to do like 2.5, and the half is going to come in the form of somebody that's running a shorter distance. So we'll run 2 big boy laps, and then we'll run probably like the 20K course after that. I think that's how it plays out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to change the scenery.
Yeah, I believe so.
Have you ever been to Bryce Canyon?
Never.
Oh man, we went out there this summer when Bonnie and I were on our RV trip. So
Okay.
we did the RV trip with my mom,
Right.
and then we were out for a week, and then construction was still happening at our place.
Okay.
And so it just didn't make any sense to come home.
Yeah.
So we can both
Just
work
kept
from the
going.
road. So we just rented the RV for another week and took off.
Oh, I love that.
And went into Bryce Canyon. And then we also went to Capitol Reef National Park is out there.
I've never heard of that. What is it?
Super rad. Red Rock, just beautiful.
Nearby?
Not too far.
Okay.
Not too far. But yeah, we went to Bryce Canyon and drove it, and then we hiked a little bit. I
Okay.
think we hiked a bit of the course.
Okay.
Man, that place is wild looking.
So the hoodoos is kind of what everybody
So
talks
cool,
about.
man.
You saw those?
A ton. There's no way to not see them.
Oh,
They're not
wow.
hidden.
Okay.
And not only that, there's essentially an infinite amount of them.
Okay.
It's
okay.
so there's just this canyon, like the road that runs across the top of it's super cool.
Yeah.
And so overlooks the canyon, and it's just this crescent shape where it cuts in, that it's just all these hoodoos.
Okay.
Like it's almost, there's so many, it's like fractal looking. Like the hoodoos have hoodoos.
Wow. Okay.
And they're almost identical, and there's just rows of them. And they're just a very wild thing, but they're not anywhere else on the landscape.
Just in that
Like they're
one-
like, why are these so concentrated here? Like it's a very strange thing. But man, Bryce Canyon's cool. Like I did the color palette for like our Fueled by Hate drop
Yeah.
off of pictures I have from Bryce Canyon. That
Oh,
are this,
cool. Okay.
Like copperish orange red rock.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the blue we used was pretty similar to like the sky that I had some photos of. So
Yeah.
I used those photos to pick my Pantones.
Okay.
And definitely a really rad looking place, dude.
Sheesh,
They
man.
do like a nighttime tour out there to go look at
Okay.
the stars and galaxy.
Okay.
And I bet it's wild.
They do something like that in Glacier Park in Montana too, where you can go up to Logan Pass, which is the top of the main road that you drive on, and they'll have forest rangers and other astrologists that go out there with a set of telescopes, and you can just go up there
way,
at
dude.
midnight. It's like $25.
Have you been?
I've never done it.
Next time I'm up,
Yeah,
let's just force ourselves. Let's go.
it's $25.
I'm
And
in.
Yeah, you can go up there at midnight, and you get basically like a constellation tour
Yeah.
by astrologists and other park rangers, and you get to like look up and see the Milky
Have
Way.
you
and
ever
everything.
like gone to like an observatory or any of that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I was younger, astrology used to be my thing, like one of the first things that I really got into at a young age.
That was your first weirdo thing.
That was my first weird thing.
Okay.
Before the other weird things.
Fair. No. Look, as a man who's into weird things, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, astrology was cool, man. And so
Yeah, I asked for a set of tarot cards in middle school. Like my fucking parents didn't know what to do with me. I saw the craft. It was cool. It's time to go maybe become a witch.
tarot cards. I didn't know
Yeah.
that about you. Do you still?
I like cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind.
You know how to read them still?
Well, I mean, they come with a book.
Oh, okay. I don't know
It's not
anything
terribly
about
complicated.
them. Okay.
It's good intentions, man. I look at everything kind of the way I feel about tarot cards the same way I feel about crystals. I feel
Yeah.
it's all right. I'm into it.
A little bit of everything, right?
I think it's okay to decide what you attribute magic to,
Yes.
as long as you know it's magic and it isn't a fact.
Yes. Give it a little bit of space. Keep it at arm's length, but enjoy it while.
And I
It's
do
there.
think there's something to say, like with turning a card over,
Mhm.
right? That it is a universe choice because it is random. There isn't anything behind it other than it randomly got chosen.
Yeah.
And so you're on a timeline that card got pulled.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
And also, if it's really shitty, fuck cares? It's a stupid card.
It's a card.
Right? Go fuck yourself. I'll
Don't look at
take
it
what I
that
want.
deep.
No, I'll take what I want from this, and it can go fuck itself. You know,
That's a good way to look at it. I like that.
the same way I feel about crystals.
Do you get into that much?
I don't mind them. I like crystals. I've got
Yeah.
an amethyst on my little altar in my office.
So in Arizona, the desert is filled with quartz. I know nothing of crystals. Do you know what the significance of quartz is?
I know quartz has to do with it can help with energy, stuff like that. I think
Got it.
Brant could probably bring up quartz lore for us.
Quartz lore?
Well, it's not facts. I mean,
Yeah, what is it?
look, I do think that crystals or rocks or anything have an effect on energy,
Sure.
vibration, things like that.
Yes.
Amethyst is supposed to be good. It's pretty.
Yeah.
I like pretty things.
Yeah.
But as far as like, what do I know about quartz? The only thing cool about quartz out there is because like it'll turn pink, and that's like what
Yeah.
white sand beaches are. and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that is
yeah.
quartz. Can quartz kill you?
Yeah. Let's explore the top Google responses.
A master healer. Amplify energy by absorbing and storing, releasing, and regulating. It's also said to aid concentration and memory.
Interesting. Okay.
So-
Okay.
And I think those things are as valuable as you want them to be.
Sure. And if they make you happy, if they bring joy to your life, so be it.
Right.
No matter how weird the thing is.
And also understand that no one else has to think that they're cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like
don't-
my Goosebump book collection.
Oh, no.
Nobody else.
Is that R.L. Stein?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I'm glad I can remember that and the other shit
wow.
that I forget on a daily basis.
Hey, man, Goosebumps used to be my thing. I
Never
I
got
had-
in.
No?
No.
I read every one of them.
At that
Every
age
one
would
of
have
them.
been like middle school for me, maybe.
Okay.
How old are you?
I'm 30. I'll be 35 this month.
Okay, so I'll be
Yeah.
38 in April.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would have been like middle school for me.
Yeah. Okay.
So by that point in like late elementary, early middle school,
Yeah.
I'd already got into fucking weird. Man, I was weird. There's definitely moments where I look back now and I realize like I was fucking odd. So by that age, I'd really gotten into Edgar Allan Poe a lot.
Okay.
And then I got into Ray Bradbury.
Okay.
And I
Yep.
really like those type of, and then that led
Dark,
to some
right?
Stephen King stuff and stuff like that. So that's what I'm reading by the end of elementary school.
That's dark.
If I'm choosing to read, which
Yeah.
I'm not.
Do you like to
I
read?
fucking hate it.
Okay.
I'm bad at it.
So what drew you to Edgar Allan Poe?
Weird stuff.
Oh, okay.
Weird stuff, death, horror.
Okay. The
Yeah.
dark stuff.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just that he wasn't scared about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever I can over, it's definitely not what I was giving perception of when I was a kid. I just thought it was neat.
Yeah.
Quote the Raven, fucking whatever else, Cast of Montalado. He just walls that dude up.
Well, dude, I feel like it's so polar opposite too of like what we grew up with, especially in like Christian homes, kind of,
Yeah.
like the really religious homes. Like it's so opposite. Like you never get exposed to it, but it's so fucking fascinating, and like it's so like ravens and shit are like so fucking cool, and like especially
Big
like
giant birds.
dude, especially just
They are
when you
big.
start reading some of like these, like it was funny when you guys were talking about Harry Potter. Like I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter. Like I brought it
Weren't
home.
allowed.
I brought it home one time, and he's like, my dad was like, you have to like take it back. Like you're not allowed to read that.
The wizard part of it,
Super
right?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like
yeah.
could watch the movies, which didn't make any fucking sense.
All right, so none of that would have been a hang up in my household, but I was strictly told I'm not going to be a band queer.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
at least don't bother learning instruments. That's not going to serve you. Fucking
Oh, wow.
thanks.
Jeez.
Glad we had that hang up from jump.
Thanks, parents.
That's a dad. That was a full 100%
So-
pop.
sounds like
Mom
something
wasn't
dad
would say.
anti me
Dadish.
playing cymbals or saxophone, other than I would have had to practice at home.
Oh, got it.
I understand
Okay.
the level of inconvenience they wanted to avoid,
That's fair. That's fair.
but fuck, what a
Oh,
weird
man.
thing.
Yeah. What are the weird things that you do as a kid? Like, I mean,
I always had a really strange group of friends. Like,
Okay.
despite that, I'm doing well at school,
Yeah.
grades wise, I'm doing good in sports.
yeah.
I also hung out with these stoner guys that were playing music.
Okay.
And they didn't get along with the teachers. None of that. Like I dug them too.
Yeah.
Whereas like my passage through high school is pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm making good grades and I'm all state in 2 sports.
Yeah.
It's not hard in a small town.
Sure.
Meanwhile, I fucking hate it. I also hated high school, despite that it was easy.
Okay.
And so I hung out with a bunch of groups of everyone. Like I was with the popular kids, but I wasn't ever like a top tier
Okay.
because I never quite bought all the way in.
Got you.
And
Gotcha.
so I never wanted to be fucking told what I could do or who to hang out with or
Interestingly, you're an entrepreneur now.
interesting enough. Eh? Tried once, failed. Bike shop thing.
Oh, yeah. So that was right out of,
Right out of college.
okay, got it.
like
And what drew you to
2000.
that? Because you just loved to ride or
Got into
was it-
riding and had a buddy that was a great mechanic and had worked in a bunch of bike shops. And I thought the two of us together could make a run at it. And we did not.
Got it.
That's and that one's a tough one for me, man. Because my partner with the bike shop, Bill's older than me at the time, and I think he probably had turned 40,
Okay.
something like that, when we had done the bike shop, and I'm 22. I'm 100% sure that I am a major villain in Bill's story.
Why do you say that?
Unless Bill's made some major changes, Bill's a bit of a victim.
Got it.
And his dream of opening a bike shop happened.
Yep.
And inabilities on my part to manage or understand business. Like, do I think I could have done a better job with what I know now? To an extent.
Yeah.
But we weren't making any fucking money. And it's really tricky to run a business when you're not making any fucking money.
Sure.
Like we did, our first year was our best year, and we did like $210,000 in gross sales.
Okay.
That doesn't translate very far at a 40% profit margin to two adults.
Sure.
That have to live off of it and pay rent
Sure.
and expenses. So we're sharing a $500 place.
Got it.
And the money got so tight that I couldn't make it work. I couldn't make it work. So I went back to start working at the strip club because it paid enough money for me to pay an employee and pay the rent. Don't get a second job to pay for your first one.
Fair enough.
Something's not working. Listen a little bit better than that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but all in all, like I would say Bill's opinion of the situation is that I fucked him up on it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And so I'll never be able to really write that.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but that's okay.
Have you connected with him on this?
I'm pretty sure I know how it would go.
Got it. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I mean, I'd heard a story a handful of years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago. He'd run into someone I know in Baton Rouge, and it said that some sketchy guy fucked him out of a deal on him.
Oh.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I left with fucking $40,000 in debt.
Yeah. Right.
Sick.
Wow.
Whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm also not going to sit here and pretend I wasn't a problem.
Sure.
I was.
Sure.
I was partying a lot. I liked being an entrepreneur more than I wanted to do the job.
Sure. Yeah. So at that point, it was probably just a lack of like experience in business, right?
Across the board.
Sure.
Plus, I'm a young adult trying to figure out my life at 20, and I'm crazy. I'm still trying to tour manage and hang out with my band friends, and I'm partying.
Yeah.
And I'm partying.
Yeah.
And it's not conducive to any of it. And I far more wanted to be viewed as successful than the reality of that success. Meanwhile, looking back at it now, I'm like, who do you think you're fooling? Because you share a $500 apartment with Bill. That's not a thing successful people do.
Right.
Right. Like none of the signs point to success other than maybe you walking around a little bit and saying, I own a business.
Yeah.
Business owner, me. That's who I am.
So when the bike shop, when you went separate ways with that, where did you go from there? Did you start and create another business at that point, or did you just kind of go back to normal life?
So I'd already been back working at the strip club.
Okay.
So back to the strip club.
Yep.
Man, I had a gut check fucking moment there.
What happened?
There's another DJ there working with me, another guy named Lenny.
Okay.
Super funny dude, comedian, trying to figure it out.
Okay.
No idea what Lenny's up to now. Hope he's doing great. And we're busting balls.
Okay.
And so I know that he had left and had gone off to Atlanta for a while to try this pilot thing that they were working on, and then he's back. Because, that's the grind. That's how it goes.
Yep.
It doesn't just work.
Yep.
And I'd smarted off and I'd said something just being shitty, being a dude, being a prick, busting balls with a guy I like.
Yep.
And he's like, and so let me get this right. The bike shop's going so well that you're doing this at night. And I remember trying to backpedal and explain it. And because it's too much ego at that age for me to deal with.
Yeah.
I remember that fucking moment. I wonder if that's even a thing that person remembers, and that fucking bit was a right hook.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's
absolutely.
something someone said that they didn't even register.
Yep.
And so back to the bike shop. Not back to the bike shop. So I'm doing that. I decide, I know this isn't long-term good ideas. And so I find another job doing sales. This is the worst job I've ever had. By far. So I'm working in AT&T stores for a third-party company to sell you better home telephone service.
Got it. Okay.
In 2006.
Yep. Okay.
Home telephone service isn't exactly a booming market by this point, as I'm selling it in a cell phone store.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm talking to strangers that come in the door. I don't work for AT&T. I don't have a desk. I have a clipboard and I'm in a suit.
Sweet.
That 22-year-old me can afford. I don't exactly look like I'm headed to the Oscars.
Right. So it's not fitted. It's whatever.
No, it's just off the shelf at wherever I bought it that I could
Ross or
afford. Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Some $100 suit and 2 shirts I purchased made of burlap. I fucking look terrible in this thing. I look like I borrowed it or I was issued it before going to court. And so I have to talk to strangers. I have to get their social security number and talk to them and check their phone service to figure out how much they're paying and see if I can get them a better deal by adding a service and lowering their bill. It never worked.
Yeah.
Their bill was always higher.
Okay.
Every time. But I don't know that until after it's done. Everything in my paperwork shows that it's going to be less.
Yeah.
And so like at some point, I know this is how it works. And I'm not only that, like I'm succeeding at the job. I'm one of the 3 top sales guys working for the company. I've been there for 2 months. Like the options are like it kind of pyramid schemes. Like if you can build enough sales, you can open a branch and hire people, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Make money. And a big pipe dream of no education, you have a chance to make some cash.
Yeah.
And I need cash and I have responsibilities for a living. And so this worked out great. I needed a job. This wasn't terribly hard. It just super sucked to work 6 days a week at an AT&T store for 10 hours a day, selling home phone
Hard
service.
selling stuff.
Hard selling. Like, it's a numbers
yeah.
game. I just have to hit everyone that comes through the door. I have to speak to every person because it's a percentage say yes.
Yep.
And get better at reading whether or not it's going to be a person I should talk to.
Yep.
But I don't mind being told no.
Yeah.
That's not a thing that slows me down, and I developed that.
That is crucial.
And then that job moved into outside sales in the petrochemical industry.
So, okay. So what are you selling?
First thing, I'm selling online process diagnostics for a company called Quantum. And we climb towers, and then we lower a radioactive source down one side
Yep.
and a detector down the other.
Okay.
And so it gives a density reading through the column to tell you liquid loading levels.
Got it.
And we can determine by the liquid loading levels while it's running, how well it's running. So we can kind of help you optimize levels. We can kind of help you optimize what level you want to run at. So I do that, and I'm actually doing jobs. Like I'm on the job, climbing towers, doing the thing. I start writing reports. At that point, I've decided I want to make more money. Whatever work equals that I'm interested in.
Okay.
And so I'm taking on as much as I humanly can working at this place because I'm bored and I'd like to make more money. It's also the first time that I felt like I've made money. And I remember I was making right at 30 grand. It was my first raise
Okay.
to 30 grand
Feeling good about that.
because I was making $1,000 a paycheck.
Okay.
And I was like, fuck, it's unspendable.
Yeah.
It's like fucking sick.
It's unspendable. Yeah. And so I'm now writing reports on the information we do because I get an extra percentage from the job. Anything that gave me extra cash, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then I did that well enough that as I started asking, was anyone doing sales, like active sales for the company? And my boss was like, no. I was like, can I? And he's like, yeah.
I guess.
And so like I got a list of customers from one of the other guys I worked with, and I just started cold calling and setting up meetings. And then he told me any job that I land from a new customer, I'd get 10% of the job instead of the 2.
Man,
I
you
was
give an
getting.
opportunist 10%.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, man.
Now I'm on fire
Yeah.
because I will call people.
I'm
I
swinging
don't
for
give
the
a
fences.
shit.
No.
Land jobs.
Right.
And so it's going well. It's going well enough that I've met some other sales guys, and now I'm talking to them to try to share clients and to communicate. One of those companies my brother works for,
Okay.
and they hire me
Okay.
to just do sales, and now I'm not climbing towers.
Awesome.
So that was the first big life upgrade.
Awesome. Okay.
And then did that for 3 other companies and
Did you like more sales work or climbing towers?
sales work.
Got it.
I like the sales work. I like the puzzles. I like the building relationships. I like the figuring out how to talk to people.
Yeah.
I like the manipulation's not the word.
Yeah.
But I like figuring out how to get what I would like out of this.
Yeah.
And you also.
Yeah. How to create a win-win for everybody.
And
right?
for me, as long as my take on the sales thing was, as long as the boat was always going the direction that I wanted it to go, I don't care that you think you're driving.
Yeah.
I don't care what left and right turns you want to take, as long as in general we're going where I'd like this to go.
Yeah.
I could do the big picture thing. I didn't have an ego that got in the way. I had no problem in getting yelled at for a job that fucked up. Meanwhile, I've never turned a wrench.
Yep.
I didn't fuck this job
Yep.
up. If anyone working for us didn't fuck this up, it sure isn't me.
Right.
But my job is to be the face.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any problem with that either. And so I learned a lot from that job on relationship building.
So why did you step away?
Well, they fired me for one in March of 17.
Yep.
But I started this on accident. Not on accident, but like I wrote a book about the Highland Games, and then I wrote another book. And one of the things I wrote about in the book was the concept of the hate. And then I had enough people ask me to make a shirt, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to make a shirt. And so my guy who does all my shirts contacted me and said, I think you should make a shirt. And I was like, sure, but I don't have time to go. Like, I'm traveling for work and doing outside sales. Like, I'm on the road 75,000 miles a year, and I'm flying 40 times a year to compete. I don't fucking have time.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I could print everything and I could do all the fulfillment and shipping out of here. And I'm like, huh. So I just come up with ideas. And that's
it.
And we're here.
Okay. So that's where it came from.
Yeah. And so like by the time I got fired, I was making as much from my side thing as I was from them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so when they fired me, I just didn't want to find another job.
That's fair.
I took some interviews.
Okay. And so then you just went all in on hate.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So once I turned this corner, man, we ain't going back.
Man, that's really cool. I love the process of all of that, and like all of those different little pockets that you hung out in for a little bit, and all the eddies you swirled around in before like getting back into the river, moving forward. And it's so cool hearing all of that, because it gives light to the fact that you've got to just keep moving forward. You've got to just keep doing
and
things,
sometimes
bumbling.
backwards.
That's fine.
Look, there was a big, especially backwards for the ego.
Yeah.
It was a big ego check to go from, I own my own business at 22.
Yep.
And it's cool.
Yep.
To, I'm wearing a suit in AT&T stores that my friends who've bought bikes from me come into.
Made of burlap. Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
I had customers come in. Fuck, man.
Yeah. And that's probably hard to deal with, right?
It ain't cool.
Yeah.
It's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fucking embarrassing. But it's better than being broke.
100%.
It's better than fucking having someone else afford my life.
100%.
Or being owned by someone.
Yep.
And that was what I knew that I wanted to get out of. And even the outside sales job was cool, but I didn't want to be owned.
Yep.
And I always hated the feeling in that job of how much I needed that paycheck.
Because that's the opposite of freedom.
Right? Yeah, right. Because at that point, I'm not at the wheel. I can think I am.
Mm-hmm.
But if they decide to fire me, I don't have a plan B. And so now I've got a plan B and C and D.
Yeah.
And so it just builds such confidence that like, if this doesn't work, it's fine.
I got other options.
I've got another thing.
Yeah. 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 No, that's awesome. I love that. So where does the brand go from here? I mean, you've got so many good things going. You've got hate. You've got the podcast. You've got this amazing building we're in right now.
So
dope.
Really, it's hate's the big one that I want to grow.
Yeah.
Everything else, while I love it, like the podcast, everything else, it all grows that.
Yes.
Now, there's not a rule that this can't be. There's no rule that says I can't be better at hate or better at this podcast or better at YouTube than I was the Highland Games.
Mm-hmm.
And since there's not a rule, it means it's possible.
Sure.
So I may as well take a roll at the dice. I don't have to be great at it.
Yeah.
But I get to make a fucking living doing this.
Yeah. Doing what you want on your terms, right?
I get to wake up and do what I want to
Yeah.
every fucking day.
Yeah.
You know, and I make good money now.
Yeah.
But it hadn't been that way. And I mean, you know it firsthand from being around other people that are lunatics. It's work.
Yeah.
It's work. And I mean,
at the
you've been on
base
your
of all
own
of
now
it.
for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last 9 to 5 you had?
It was November of 2013.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So after football,
Yep.
you never went back to a real job.
I did actually. So in after football, I went to work in construction because construction was something that I did in my past that I could still do without much of an education.
Pays the bills.
And hey, man, and everybody wants a strong guy on their team, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're valuable in that
yeah,
way.
absolutely. So I was kind of like the muscle in a way. You know, I was framing. I was building government buildings like hospitals.
Wait,
and
you're
things
wearing
like that.
cutoff shorts and boots and,
Not
and
that,
putting too big of wheels on trucks.
not that muscle.
Fuck, I like that guy.
More handsome.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I was working in construction. I was building hospitals, government buildings, and things like that. And I did that for about 3 years until, you know, I kind of found myself in my rock bottom after losing my mentor, my father figure, my football coach. And it was at that point where I had kind of spiraled and lost my way that I was fired from that job just because I couldn't.
Man, a thing you were good at.
Yeah.
What was that? How was that getting fired for you?
That was the least of my concern at the time because I had.
Yeah, but that conversation still had to happen. Like that
Yeah,
guy still had to
that's-
look at you and be like, "Hey, you don't need to work here anymore."
That stung for sure. And it was a very graceful conversation because everybody knew what I was going through at that point in time. But the conversation went very simply. He's like, "You're good at what you do, but you can't do it here anymore." And he was a friend of mine too. And that part was tough. And I kind of took it in stride because I knew I wasn't in a good place. But yeah, it was November of 2013. And I spent 3 months basically trying to piece my life back together. And then in January of 2014, I started getting back on track with things. And I've been on my own, doing my own thing ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy in those moments of getting fired or something like that for something like that. There's a big difference in people that look at that as a gut check of, yo, I got some shit I need to get sorted.
Yeah.
Or the world's out to get them.
Yeah.
And you weren't a world out to get you.
Yeah. No, definitely not. I knew I had stuff going there.
Sure.
I knew I had to work through some things. And it's tough, man. I mean, for anybody that's listening that has been at their, what you could call rock bottom, it feels like there's so much weight on top of you that no matter what you do, you can't get out, but you know you need to do something. And it's a helpless feeling. And that's really what it was for me. It was a helpless feeling of knowing that I have to move, but I it's like when I was sitting in the chair and I needed to stand up to keep finishing the race, but I couldn't. That's kind of like what rock bottom felt for me like at that point in time.
That's how I kind of describe depression, as it's never been a thing that I totally deal with.
Big time.
I've had moments.
Yeah.
But it to me is the same as chronic pain. It was that I always had this thing tugging at me for my attention.
Yeah.
And the problem for me is I can't deal with it without surgery.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can just say, okay, today I'll fucking sort this out.
Yeah.
And that's what those big moments in life are, man. Like you can't get away from them.
Yeah.
And some just take time.
Yep.
You know, my dad passing away was big, you know, any of those type of things, right? Like there's things that just take time to sort out.
Yeah. And spending time each day to sorting through it, even when it's uncomfortable or even when you don't want to do it, like you still got to just swing the axe at it every single day. And that was something that I did is like, once I started to get my life back on track, I started doing little things every day physically, first off, because I knew that when I would put myself in an uncomfortable situation or swing the axe physically, that it had that carryover into what I choose to eat for that day, or how much I chose to smile, or how much I chose to reach out to somebody who I needed to talk to about something.
It builds positive momentum.
Right. And from a physical standpoint, I mean, that was the thing that was really like the catalyst to me getting my life back on track, was putting myself in those physical situations where I needed to perform.
Yeah.
Even if it was like just a little bit, like when I first started running and I was 30 pounds overweight around that same time in January, I would go run for a quarter mile. And that's all I could do at that time. But that quarter mile gave me momentum to come back the next day and try to get another quarter mile and another quarter mile until I actually built up enough endurance to run a full mile in the mountains.
See, and it's so crazy, right? Like, 'cause it's so easy for someone on the outside looking in, including me, to be like, well, Dan's a runner.
Right. Right.
It wasn't a thing you had to build from scratch.
Right.
You're a runner.
Right.
Meanwhile, you build from scratch.
Hey man, I was at my rock bottom. I was 30 pounds overweight. I was living at my mother's house in the downstairs room because I wasn't able to, control my life anymore. I was engaged at the time, and we called off the wedding because I wasn't a good partner anymore.
Sure.
And it still stings to say, but like I wasn't the best dad at that time either.
Well, how could you be?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's an honest realization, right? But how could you be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No one. It's one thing to be in a mental tough spot,
Right.
and drowning mentally. And then it's another that then you're financially drowning.
Sure.
Like, it's like we have enough trouble sorting shit out and things are going great.
Yeah.
Also
right.
part of things going great buys free time to question existential shit.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you. But it does bring up more things to consider. But when someone is in that thing where they're in a bad spot because of this death of a mentor, this role model, this puzzle piece
Yeah.
that you don't know how to fill, and you sure at that age don't understand that you'll fill it, but it'll be multiple people that take that role.
Yes.
And then drowning financially at the same time. You just can't tread water. You can't.
No.
You just can't do it. Anything's too much. And there's always something.
Yep.
There's never a free pass.
Yep.
And it's so tough to build that positive momentum to get enough steam going to overcome the next little thing and not let it bury you again.
Right. And that's what running ultimately did, is kind of like got that momentum going for me, because for anybody that's ever experienced depression at a large scale, 24 hours out of the day, you feel like the world is on top of your shoulders and you can't get out of the chair no matter what. But when I would go into the mountains and I would spend that quarter mile running, and that little part of the day was freedom. It was like everything. It was peace for me, while the rest of the day I was feeling like the world was on my shoulders. I had this one brief moment of peace and quiet. And it was in those moments where it became addicting to want to go back to, because I knew that I could get a few minutes of peace. Right now, it's crazy because with running, what you don't realize, or what I didn't realize, was I wasn't doing the running part, and I wasn't experiencing the run as the thing that was making me feel better. Yes, it was cool, like moving my body again, but what was really helping my healing was getting those good hormones flowing again. And that's
there's a chemical change that needs to happen too for happiness.
100%. And when you're depressed, you don't have those good hormones, the happy hormones flowing as often.
No, that negative. Well, that, and you have cortisol levels go up, so testosterone drops. There's tons, right?
Big time.
We can correlate a lot of things.
A lot happens.
The answer isn't always replacing the hormones, right? The hormone depletion sometimes is a symptom of a thing.
Sure.
So we have to fix the thing, not fix a symptom.
Yep.
And we do that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Weight loss pills instead of better food.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, that's the easy fix, but getting down to the root of it, I think is what really helps for me anyways, to get going, was just getting out there every day and just getting those good hormones flowing and putting myself in nature, which, if you've never been in nature before, you don't spend a lot of time there and you're in a low spot right now. I think that just putting yourself in nature, even if it's at a park, a city park, will do so much for your mental to help you to kind of find some momentum to move forward.
Well, they show it statistically and study-wise that if you can get 30 minutes in a green space, it is a reduction in anxiety and depression by over 60%.
Yeah.
You also get a big uptick. Well, one, you're outside.
Yep.
And so you've got
Can't ever go wrong, really.
You've got vitamin D.
Yeah.
You're getting fresh air because of the plants.
Yep.
Things like that. And also just the green light in general changes overall mood.
Yeah.
It doesn't work going for a walk on the street.
Yeah.
It's not the same. And I think that's a huge thing. That's why the 10-minute walk deal that I think is probably like, if I was going to give anyone advice or number one way to change your life, if you're in a rough spot, 3 10-minute walks. Just go outside and walk. Like green space or not, go move.
Mm-hmm.
Just go actually change your perspective.
That's it.
Literally.
Yep. Get out of your head and get back into your body somehow.
Or let your head work, but do it while you're walking.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So,
keep those good hormones going.
At least you're doing a good thing for yourself.
Yeah.
At least that's one. Let's just do that. Let's handle the things that we can control first.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, this has been great.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Dude, it's gonna be a fun week. We got some cool stuff we'll film, and
I'm excited to get on a bike.
Man. Yeah, man.
Get out of my comfort zone a little bit, get on a bike and have you push me around a little bit.
I'm trying to figure out, do I want to borrow my buddy Zach bike, or I have another option. I talked to Nate and I have a mountain bike I can borrow from him.
Okay.
So we could go ride the mountain bike trail I normally ride, which would be more technical and challenging, but I'm pretty decent on a bike.
Well, I'm going to put my life in your hands.
Perfect.
Man, so
Perfect.
whatever you want to do.
We'll probably end up playing a little bit with all of it because we'll go out and film some stuff with the bike for just a long ride. So we'll take the gravel bikes and do that and just go cruise to Katy.
Okay.
Because we could do that and then lock them on the back of my truck and then run a little bit.
Cool.
So I wouldn't mind like go ride for an hour, run for an hour.
We should take Brant. Brant, you want to go for a run?
Don't do it, Brant.
He
Homer Simpson's back into the curtains.
Yeah.
I just have a desk back here.
I so wish there was another room this way that we've just never told anyone. And when the podcast ends, I slowly just disappear back into the curtains. It'd be so great. Well, dude, this has been great.
Thank you, man.
Dude, I thank you for coming.
Socials.
Absolutely.
Where can everyone find all your cool stuff?
So I'm on Instagram. That's probably going to be the place where you can most get a hold of me. I answer everybody's messages. So send me a message. Let me know what you thought.
And I know that you're helping me with some run training and you do sell some programming.
Yep. So I definitely do a lot of functional type programs using kettlebells, Bosu balls. I put a high priority on mobility as we talked about earlier. So I'm on Instagram at Rasta Runner with an _ at the bottom. And yeah, send me a message. Let me know what you think.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, man.